And the magic machine tells me that I'm live. Welcome to to a very mysterious and ASMR related episode of Today in J.Scott Garibay. I am at the old domicile. My car is in the shop. And so I'm staying here for the next couple of days at the animal house. I have been told that my voice is normally very loud and very boomy. Hey, hey, hey. Jonaside, first in the live chat. So I've been told that it's very late, but they will tolerate me streaming if I can keep my voice low, reasonable, and not, as they've characterized it, oh so loud and oh so boomy. Hopefully, you'll still be able to hear me and understand the words coming out my mouth. Mario, joining us on Twitch. Happy Cinco de Orion to you. But as we all know around here, it's always Cinco de Orion here. For we only have but a precious window of time within which to move Matthew Mercer's heart to do what is right and save the untold millions of lives by returning Orion Akaba to the righteous pole position. It is imperative. Whether you be a horse lover of any size, it is imperative that Orion Akaba returns to the rightful side of the table so that all Mexicans, Mexican Americans, Mexican Mexicans, Mexican Canadians can enjoy a life free of any sort of violence. American violence, cartel violence, presidential violence. And away we go. Can everyone understand the words coming out my mouth? Even though, hopefully, I'm paying attention to the edicts of this land and controlling my voice and making sure that it's not too loud and booming. What do I have to go on? The live chat? Lord knows the live chat will not be paying attention to me. And I guarantee you this is a text from my familia saying, can you keep it down in there? Your voice is too loud and booming. Bear with me, hold on. Yeah. I guarantee you that, oh, god damn it. I guarantee you this is people being like, this is people just telling me, giving me, oh, here we go. My mom. Oh, god. Here we go. Jonaside. So I was at that con and asked everyone booth selling D&D about J.Scott and Critical Role, and nobody knew Orion. Not one. That was 3 booths, about 6 people. Post thanks Gen Xer. Hey, I caught a live. But can people understand? People can hear me? Can people hear me? We say hello to Synthetic. What, no rebellion? There you go. Synthetic, welcome to the show. Post thanks Gen Xer, welcome to the show. Jonasai can hear me. Missing murdered Indigenous Women's Day. Is there any other kind of Indigenous woman? It's not a joke. I'm sincere there. Here we go. The rebellion was canceled, but was it televised? Speaking of televised, before I get myself in more trouble, today, I'm going to be honest. Today was a little bit slow in J.Scott Garibay news today, but he was back on the Orion Akaba kick. It was primarily about Free Comic Book Day. Did you know it was Free Comic Book Day? Most people concentrated on it being Cinco de Mayo. I think we were late. I think Free Comic Book Day might have been earlier, but he got to his coverage of Free Comic Book Day today. I might skip over most of the videos he did today and concentrate just on two in particular. Guess what? They're Ryan Akaba centric. But hey, the most important thing is we're having this time together. Reminding people that we're not here to mock or make fun of J.Scott Garibay, but to celebrate. None of us will be here for a long time. So we might as well be here for a good time. Okay, let's get to the videotape. Let's see what we got. He blessed us, as always, with about an hour and who can calculate? We got one video at 11 minutes, another video at 8.5, another 7 minutes and 24, another 7 minute, 4 minutes and 21 seconds, another 7.5 minutes. Oof, another 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Then another 7 minutes and 19 seconds. 4.5 minutes. 4 minutes and 14 seconds. It was another 6 minutes. I think it's these last four videos I think are going to be the best ones. He did four videos on Critical Role lead Matthew Mercer, Orion Akaba, and Gary Gygax's Augury of the Platonic Solids. That's 4 videos on that. Those just have to be winners. And then, this one I definitely wanted to talk about. Critical Role lead Matthew Mercer, Dragon Master Orion Akaba, and Beautiful Sorrow. Let's start with that one. And I think you'll realize why I want to start with that one. We're gonna skip over the comic book ones because I don't think those are gonna be that important. But let's definitely start with this one about Beautiful Sorrow. Oh, it's great. Hold on. Let me just cue it up. Get you there into theater mode. Share the screen. And like I said, fair use, fair use, fair use. We're not here to mock, demean, steal views from. This is a transformative work. And, before I begin, I just want to say, it's not that I'm saying that J.Scott Garibay is wrong, though I think he's wrong. It's not that I think that he's cruel. It's just that I'm pointing out how he doesn't get it. And the way that he doesn't get it is a thing to observe, and to wonder at. Let's wonder at it together.
Hi, friends. This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Orion Akaba and the Dachau violin.
The Dachau violin. We're here to talk about Orion Akaba and the Dachau violin. You just know that we're just in for a trip.
All right. So, an incredible. Um, so, right now, you and I are unpacking the Akaba 72 window.
Again, 27 episodes he was on. Not 72, 27. God bless you, J.Scott Garibay. God bless your beautiful delusion. But it can only be labeled what it is. You're out to lunch. He was on 27 episodes. It's irrefutable, right? It is what it is.
So, Orion Akaba created 72 episodes of the best Dungeons and
He was a player amongst players on 27 episodes of Critical Role.
Dragons that's ever been created. In the middle of, actually, right at the start of Vox Machina, right? Vox Machina is without exception the best Critical Role season ever. It's the
Debatable. I mean, if you're talking about subjectively, that's subjective. If you're talking about the numbers, I think that is just patently false. But I'm not a student of these things because I've got better things to do.
only one that's been honored by a billionaire.
Not true. None of them have been honored by a billionaire. While it aired on what was picked up by Amazon to be a cartoon, there's no reason to believe that Jeff Bezos himself was in any way, shape, or form personally involved in the production or the green lighting of anything. So, whatever.
And captured for eternity by a billionaire.
Again, captured for eternity. None of this stuff, none of this is for eternity. None of this. One day, the sun will go nova and bake this earth dead as a cue ball.
Um, Without a doubt, Vox Machina is the most celebrated, prominent, powerful D&D narrative ever.
Doubt. You can place doubt on that all day long.
In 2015, Matthew Mercer did not understand what Orion Akaba was doing, and he
Debatable.
exiled him from the table. Okay.
It wasn't necessarily him. We don't know. It may have been communal, may have been a group effort. We have no idea.
Now, I believe that this is the second most important event in the history of Dungeons and Dragons. First would be the creation on February 7th, 1974. Then the Critical Role.
First of all, it wasn't created. That was a publication date. Of course, it was created by two individuals, Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, along with multiple people involved over time. And that was just an arbitrary date to say that it was published, but whatever.
Akaba Exile, Orion Akaba Exile in 2015. Last week, the New York Times reported
And we have a different car. We're in a different car today, I believe.
About the Dachau violin. It's the first of its kind. Nobody knew it existed even, before 2025. It's brand new. Okay.
Well, obviously somebody knew that existed because you're talking about. Let me just look at this Dachau violin. Apologize for taking your time to look at this reporter's notebook. Defiance and the Dachau violin. Note found a violin constructed in Nazi concentration camp. Did you move? Okay. Here we go. Let me just move to this. JCC Chicago. I've got people over here mocking me over here. I'm going to be mocked over here. The person you hear in the background is my lovely ex. The person I refer to as my ex-wife. You hear them mocking me. You hear them laughing at me. There you go. See? Hear this. So you see, I see here we go. This is this question with the violins of hope, multiple, the Dachau violin. So I think that you're going to see that clearly. Let me stop sharing this for a second. We're going to hear. We're gonna see. Let me see. Let me show you something here. We're gonna hear him. Let's see, share screen. You can see this thing here. Like the Dachau. Look, relax. The Dachau violin. This violin belonged to Abraham Mrzinski in August 1944. Abraham and his two brothers, Isaac and Zeisman, were deported from the ghetto to Lodz, Poland, to Auschwitz, and then to Dachau concentration camp. Abraham was 21 years old and played his violin wherever he was, even in the labor camp he was sent to, Kufering, a subcamp of Dachau. Abraham and his brother survived, as did his violin, before they immigrated to the United States in 1955. The three brothers rented a room with a German family. New violin gave his old instrument, accompanied him through all his troubles, to the young Julius Caesar, then a 14-year-old boy. So this looks like this violin, this Dachau violin, is here. JCC Chicago. So there's like multiple violins here. So I didn't even share it yet. Hold on, I apologize. This is what I was trying to do. So I think what we're gonna hear is we're gonna hear this dude tell a story that doesn't seem that it's gonna comport with, go figure, with reality. Let me go back here a second. Secret note found in 8 days ago. Here we go. Secret note found hidden. Advertisements, of course. Hold on. Do this again. Share screen. This is going to be, I think, what he's talking about. And of course, he's going to get the story wrong. Secret note found hidden in Jewish prisoner's violin at Dachau concentration camp. This is from a few days ago. A violin from a Nazi concentration camp nearly went unnoticed for over 8 decades, then a secret note changed everything. In 1941, while imprisoned at a Nazi concentration camp, fair use, all rights to the yada yada, whoever wrote this article, we're just doing this to debunk ridiculous claims by J.Scott Garibay, which guess what he's gonna tie to Orion Akaba. And here comes my cat. A Jewish violin maker built an instrument that would go to be known as the violin of hope. In it, he left a note that would not be discovered for over 80 years. When Hungarian arts dealer, this person came across the violin, they were initially intended to donate it. Their friend looked in the violin's F-hole. They found a note left by its creator that changed everything understood about the instrument. Trial instrument made under difficult conditions with no tools and materials. The worn note on the inside of the violin read Dachau, Anno 1941, Fritzlach Kempa. The violin had been stored among a set of purchased furniture for years, and when the art dealer sent it out for repairs, its history came to light. The professional repairing it was puzzled by what they saw, though the craftsmanship suggested it was built by a skilled maker. The wood was of poor quality. So I guess they built it in the concentration camp. Okay, so there you go. All known instruments that survived Dachau are believed to have been brought from prisoners. Kempe's violin of hope, it has been named, is the only known instrument actually built inside the camp. Kempe's note then has been deemed a kind of explanation or apology, although it is unknown exactly why he built the violin. This master violin maker was forced to work within unimaginable conditions and made something that he felt was inadequate. Kempe survived the war and returned to his native Poland and continued making instruments before dying in 1953. He was known to the Nazis as an instrument maker, and Tolosi suggested this is how he survived. We named it the Violin of Hope because if someone ends up in difficult situations, having a task or a challenge that helps us get through a lot of things, yada yada. So there you go. So there's the real story. There's the story of the violin. Now here we go. Now back to the of course, what the fuck does Nazi violin have to do with Critical Role? Of course, post X Gen Xer, you got to leave it to J.Scott Garibay. Wait, J.Scott Garibay will tell us. Don't worry, J.Scott Garibay will tell us.
And it's been it's been around since Dachau, but it's brand new. So they reported that in
It's not brand new. It's been around since Dachau. It's not brand new.
a pawn shop they found a violin that had these markings, and it didn't matter.
It apparently wasn't in a pawn shop, but J. Scott Garibay has poor retention for information. Of course, we know that J. Scott Garibay watched a movie about a about the war in Iraq, and then only remembered that it made an indelible impression upon him. It was about the war in Iraq, and he only remembered that it was about American soldiers fighting in a country with a lot of sand, and the country's name had a lot of Q's and a lot of A's. Of course, Iraq has one Q, one A, one I, and one R. Leave it to J. Scott Garibay. Do you need to be changing locations? Okay, I'll be changing locations if you need me to change locations. Okay, I'm being low. Okay, I'm being low. I'm being correctly low. I've been commended on my lowness.
Match any markings anybody had seen anywhere else, right? And they're like, wait a second, this is really odd. What the heck is this, right? And so they brought in experts and they verified this violin.
They found the note. We just saw the article. They found the note.
Pawn shop owner literally was the first. Like this ended up as it was just junk that was sold to him, right?
This, of course, was not the story. We saw the story. This was not what happened, but okay.
And or yeah, it was a high end violin, but still, just some crap in a state, whatever,
God bless you.
just rolled in. Nobody knew what it was, right?
It was violin, but okay.
And they're like, holy cows, this is the Dachau violin. And they're like,
There were many violins and instruments in Dachau. This is the one that was apparently made there. They didn't know until they found the notes.
what are you saying now? And they're like, in Dachau, this place of absolute abominable horror where no one was comfortable.
No one was comfortable in Dachau. Well, some people were comfortable in Dachau. Those people being the Nazis. I mean, the prisoners weren't comfortable.
Um, Jewish prison.
And to describe the conditions as being uncomfortable might be considered an understatement. Let me tell you about Auschwitz. Let me paint you a picture of the concentration camps where the Jews met their ends. Imagine, if you will, a place of unimaginable discomfort. Relaxation, forget about it.
Prisoners who were slated for death created this Dachau violin. They created a violin in Dachau that now just showed up in a pawn shop. We didn't even know it was we. There had been talk about uh, musical instruments because some of the people they had in Dachau had incredible skill sets, right? And they were like, we had heard that some musical instruments were made in Dachau, right? And so
Again, this is just, he like obviously heard like one NPR, art, thing, and it's just like spinning the life fantastic. And where's he gonna go with this? Where he's gonna go with this. It's gonna tie right into who.
So and here we it's verified. So the New York Times covered this. It was a globally covered story, right? And the point is,
Globally covered.
this beautiful thing of immense value was created in a place of where everyone was uncomfortable.
where everyone was uncomfortable. Dachau, you've never experienced such discomfort. You know what I mean? I can't explain to you just how uncomfortable this place was.
Right? Dachau was a place where everyone was uncomfortable.
Everyone was uncomfortable, except the Nazis, but okay.
There was no comfort to be found anywhere.
No
And this
comfort.
beautiful, beautiful piece of art was created there. This Dachau violin. It's worth millions, right? It's exactly what happened with Orion Akaba.
It's exactly what happened to Ronakaba. So you knew it. I mean, that's just. I mean, the fact that this guy would even occur to him that anything even associated with the Holocaust, that he would draw like an analogy or a metaphor to Orion Akaba is just, unfucking believable. And I don't hate him for it. I'm not upset with him. I'm not shocked. It's just like this guy. It's just like this is who he is. Do you know what I mean? And this is like, you know what I mean? Like, the, I feel so much better, but like I know in my life there have been times when like I've got kids, right? And I've reflected on things that I've done on YouTube and been like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like my kids would be better off if I, as their father, I hadn't done X, Y, and Z. But then knowing that this guy's out here being this human being, I'm like, my kids are not his kids. I'm like, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like he set the bar so, so beyond planet. I mean, it's like the total lack of shame. It's just incredible. It's incredible.
He came into this reckless, chaotic space that had been created by Matthew Mercer.
He was the reckless, chaotic space. But beyond that, the fact that, you know what I mean, you're talking about the Holocaust and you're comparing it to this bullshit with Orion Kaba.
And no one was comfortable. And the reason why was they
Yeah, but they were slightly uncomfortable by bullshit that this one dude did. But you're comparing it to fucking a concentration camp where children were being led to their death and people were being tortured to their death. And a nation lost their humanity. And you're comparing it to this bullcrap shenanigans on Critical Role. Seriously, and you consider yourself an evangelical Christian. Do you know what I mean? And it makes it, one questions the existence of God, that a person could avail themselves of the blood of the lamb and still be able to be, you know, this. What are we to make of this?
they
What are
knew
we to
what they
make
were
of this?
doing was going to be difficult. They knew that in order to deliver the most power, they had their time as friends playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? They're like, we are going to create the most powerful narrative Dungeons and Dragons has ever seen, right? And we're going to work hard at it and we're going to deliver, right? And they created a space of uncomfortableness. No one was comfortable at the table. But
Like the Jews in the concentration camps during World War II.
Orion Akaba came in and he made everyone feel even more uncomfortable. He understood the assignment, right? Matthew Mercer said from the gate, I want personal and professional completely mixed together. I want recklessness. I want chaos.
I want Cyclone B.
I want drama. I want dynamism, right? And Orion Akaba understood the assignment better than anyone. And he did it. He made everyone at the table uncomfortable. And in that space of outrageous uncomfortableness came this beautiful, incredibly valuable piece of art that
Incredibly beautiful piece of art. The original 27 episodes of Critical Role. Just, you know what I mean? Like the Sistine Chapel. You know what I mean? Guernica. The Mona Lisa. The first 27 episodes of Critical Role. It's transcendent. You know, it says something about Elie Wiesel's Night. It's just, you know, Sun Tzu's The Art of War. There's just certain pieces of. Hold on. It's my mom. Hold on. Hey, Mom, what's up? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I love you, Mom. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Bye bye, Mom. She's nuts. I can mute her at this hour. Forget it. She rolls.
no one understood or recognized, right? Really, nobody understands how huge Vox Machina is.
Don't understands how huge Vox Machina is.
Gary Gygax created
He's like a god, man.
Dungeons and Dragons on February 7th, 1974.
It was published that day. It was created by Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax. Other people were involved too, let's be honest.
He gave it to the world as the most powerful narrative engine, the most.
If you look at the original publication of OD&D, it is barely there. It requires another supplement called Chainmail. It requires this entirely different, like, outdoor adventure thing by another game company. It's like barely a game.
Powerful um, uh, identity engine the world had ever seen, right?
I don't even think this dude has ever even read it.
But in 2015, Orion Akaba laid he created the 72
27.
Kava window, and he created the strongest foundation possible for the most important Dungeons and Dragons narrative that would ever exist, which was Vox Machina. In the middle of unbelievable uncomfortableness.
Those guys were having the time of their life. They're joking around. They're having a grand old time. And by the way, the show sucked.
He created a beautiful piece of art that would not.
It's like not beautiful at all. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's lame.
Be understood not be understood or recognized for decades.
Oh my god. You're a beautiful human being. I marvel at you, J.Scott Garibay. That's why I'm doing this.
And here I am, the second pawn shop owner, just recognizing
the second pawn shop owner. You're the one person that recognizes the Dachau violin that is Orion Akaba.
What he did. The Dachau violin is an artifact of incredible importance. What Orion Akaba created in the Akaba 72 window.
27 episodes, dude.
Books will be written about it in the future.
Well, ironically, it's like in some strange way, like by watching all of these episodes communally, we're recognizing that we think that you're kind of like our Orion Akaba, right? That we think that by watching you, that there's some strange value in you. But we don't think that like there's a method to your madness. We just think that there's some value in seeing this anomaly, even though it's not an anomaly. There's delusional people all over the place. You're just one amongst many, but you know, within the drop of the ocean is present. You know what I mean? You are all madmen. the madman is worth hearing, even though what the madman says isn't true. Toot your horn, little rainbow. Toot your horn so that we may hear. We may be the only ones that hear, but may we not be angry at you because we will no longer be alone on the receiving ends on our computers screaming at the screens going, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, because now we are together, being able to be around the campfire together communally going, my God, isn't it crazy? The things he's saying, isn't it out of bounds what this person believes? Shine on, you crazy diamond.
I'm writing a book about it right now, a video book.
That's not a book. That's a video. You're just talking on YouTube. That's not writing a book. You could take the transcript, put it into a Word document, take that Word document, put it into Amazon, publish it. Then it would be kind of a book, a crazy book that no one should read.
And that's why there's 130 plus videos in this playlist. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part, nothing more, nothing less. The important part.
Do you understand that you say that it's your opinion, but you're saying that it's fact. So it's not really your opinion.
Is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium.
Okay, before we go into the next one, I'll go back to the live chat and see if anyone's got anything to say. There you go. Ba, 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 ba. Here we go. A beautiful delusion is the only best delusion. No one is hurt. No one is dead. It's beautiful, not like the UFO delusions. There you go. This guy's too much. I can't believe what I'm hearing. It was for a birthday party. I hear you. I hear you. How does one have a fetch millennium? Exactly. What's also amazing is that like same like it was one thing when we were like it was the year 2000, the year 2001 to say like to have like a fetch millennium. It'd be like one thing, because it was like brand new. But like now we're like 25 years into the millennium. It's like, you know, come on, buddy. Come on. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get on to we're about to go on the platonic solids journey. If you like the idea of inventing language, Garibay inventing language, we're about to see him try and get involved in platonic solids. Now, I've dealt with J.Scott Garibay's attempt to deal with philosophy before. He does it poorly. He does it rather poorly. I have a feeling, though, he's going to do Neoplatonism extremely poorly. I've seen a little bit of this, so I know what it's going to be about. It's going to be about Gary Gygax's the use of the die, the polyhedral die, as being some sort of augury of predicting critical role. It's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be just bananas. I haven't actually seen too much of this, so we'll be going in this together. Live without a schmet. I'm baking into the sun lamps over here.
J.Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Matthew Mercer, Orion Akaba, and Gary Gygax's augury of the Platonic solids.
All three of them.
Okay, this is going to be so let me let me catch you up with where we're at, and then I'll explain and this video is about being released from the rest of this mini series. Okay.
Being released from the rest of this miniseries sounds intriguing, right? Get to be released.
Of the mini series I just mentioned. Okay. All right. So let me explain where we're at. All
The
right.
miniseries you just mentioned, the video just started, bro.
So you are currently listening to Scott Garibay, and my primary Earth realm, my Earth.
Now, I just want to mention, like, we're watching this video, and you can clearly see in the video a like a holder for a presumably like a phone, right? That could be like so he's got multiple mounts, and we're in a different car today. Like, so this is like, so he records these videos not sequentially. He's wearing a different shirt, it looks like. So he crazy stuff going on.
realm primary quest right now is to return Orion Akaba to the honored right hand of Matthew Mercer at the Critical Role Exandria season 4 episode 1 table. Okay, I'm working very hard to accomplish this, and I have a window of time. The moment.
Hold on, wait. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah. What's up?
Let's increase the volume of the household. Let's see what's going on. That's let's see what's going on. Nothing.
That occurs. The Critical Role Exandria season 4 episode 1 episode occurs, then my window of time is closed. Literally up to the last minute of that day, I have a chance to change Matthew Mercer's mind and to.
Wow, it's like some sort of like cosmic journey, right? Like, or it's like a movie, like Buckaroo Banzai, you know, beyond like the third dimension, or like I forget the full title of the movie was, or Inner Space, right? Like, if we don't do this by a certain time, he's gonna like re-upload, like re-expand and blow up Martin Short. You know what I mean?
To convince him to.
J.Scott Garibay, I don't know how to tell you this. Like, Matthew Mercer has no idea you're making these videos, dude. Like, maybe he does. I have no idea. Like, it's probable that he doesn't. You know what I mean? And if he does, I don't think it's probable that it's going to change his mind. Wouldn't the kicker be if Matthew Mercer was like, oh, maybe I should get Orion Akaba back, and then we're to see these videos and be like, you know what? Actually, fuck that shit.
Bring Orion Akaba back to the Critical Role table where he belongs, in the physical seat with his physical self that he has earned. Okay. All right. So that's what's happening, and this playlist contains over 130 videos dedicated to that exact subject. Okay. Now, what we're talking about today is a mini series within. So so the overarching series of this is an examination of Matthew Mercer's exile of Orion Akaba from the Vox Machina Mighty Nine Bell's House tape. Okay, that's the overarching playlist. That's the overarching structure. Okay, this is going to be a mini series within that structure. Okay, and what were we going to talk about today? I'm an evangelical Christian, and I used to go to a church. I went to this church for about a decade. We went to it for 12 years, right? And this was quite a while ago. But each church has its own language, right? And
Each church has its own language.
not a lot of, if you're not a churchgoer, you don't understand this. But
I'm sure we do.
one of the things they would do is so it was a ministry church in that every member had a ministry, right? And you would, and your ministry might be singing on stage. Your ministry might be clearing the chairs, right? But everybody had a ministry. And people would.
Your ministry might be clearing the chairs.
Hang around, and then they would help each other. They would do their own ministry, and then they would help each other with their own ministries. They would do their own ministry, and then if they got done with that, like if you finished cleaning up
Do you want me to go? I can go downstairs now. Do you want me to go downstairs?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to.
You know, pick
Hold on,
up the
guys.
chairs.
Wait. We gotta do like a temporary restructuring. Hold on, wait. I gotta do this. So we do this, and I'm gonna do. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna stop the camera. You guys are gonna hear me talk while I move locations. So you can hear me move. I'm walking around, moving locations as I move around town. Changing locations. Once time you see me, I'm gonna be in a different place, but I'm still gonna be low. Still gonna be talking. Wait, what? She's gonna tell me if I'm not. Hey, you want to hear the lady's voice? Hear the lady's voice. Classy, right? Classy lady. You know, I run with a classy bunch. Jeez, classy bunch over here. Moving through the house.
To the house. Oh
Oh, here's another classy lady. You want to hear another classy lady's voice?
no.
Oh, too late. Here's a classy lady's voice.
Screw you, man.
That's another classy lady's voice, huh?
Love you.
Yeah, love you too. Yeah, see? Do. Moving through the house and classy lady. Do. I'm still gonna keep it low. Yeah, I'm going over here. I go to this location. Bar caught the thing and moving. It's Cinema Verite. Call this Cinema Verite. And I'm going over here. This, I'll go like this, like that. Look over here. Turn on this light. Nope. There you go. It's not my chair. That. Yeah. All right. Seamless. It's called Seamless. And I'm back. Hey, you like that? That's right. Steve's acting up again. See, there you go. Multiple beverages. Here you go. Where was I? Here we go. Breaking news. J.Scott Garibay just came into Chanter's house. Breaking news. J.Scott Garibay is me. Do. Oh, Golden Coin 100 is with us. Thank you. Post-X Gen Xer. I fear for Garibay when Orion is returned. He has built up so much. I fear he will be in a mental crisis. Who knows? But he will be there. 130 videos dedicated to that subject. There's your answer. Here we go. Back to the video tape. I feel like I need a little bit of a rewind. I feel like I got lots of track here.
Series within so the overarching series of this is an examination of Matthew Mercer's
Fair use.
exile of Orion Akaba from the Vox Machina Mighty Nine Bell Cells tape. Okay.
Bearing in mind, 3 of those shows didn't even exist at the time that Orion Akaba left Critical Role.
That's the overarching playlist. That's the overarching structure. Okay. This is
Got
going
it.
to be a mini series within that structure. Okay.
Okay.
And what were we going to talk about today? I'm an evangelical Christian, and I used to go to a church. I went to this church for about a decade. We went to it for 12 years, right? And this was quite a while ago. But each church has its own language, right? Not a lot of, if you're not a churchgoer, you don't understand this, but
I'm sure we do.
one of the things they would do is so it was a ministry church in that every member had a ministry, right? And you would, and your ministry might be singing on stage, your ministry might be clearing the chairs, right? But everybody had a ministry. And people would.
Are you calling each individual job within the church a ministry? Because that's just like abstracting the language of ministry, I think.
hang around, and then they would help each other. They would do their own ministry, and then they would help each other with their own ministries. They would do their own ministry, and then if they got done with that, like if you finished cleaning up, picking up the chairs, you might go and help people set up for the Monday night meeting, right? And set up chairs in a different part of the church, right? But there was this point, people would serve so long and so well that members in the church would say, "You are released," right? Especially leaders in the church. They would be like, you have worked really hard this Sunday, and I want you to just go home. You've done enough, right? And get this, there were members of the church who would ignore this, and they would stay and they would continue to serve, right? And it was good. Either way,
They couldn't hear. They were too old. They were deaf. You're released. Go home. Mm.
if you continued to serve, your help was valued. But if you went home after you were released, that was okay, right? And today,
Sure it was. Until you woke up in hell.
this mini series is Matthew Mercer and Orion Acaba and Gary Gygax's Augury of the Platonic Solids. And I am very careful about my content. I don't make my content in a void. I'm very careful, right? And I give spoiler warnings, right? Sometimes I give
FYI, in case you're curious, like platonic solids are like a cube, right? Right, and a sphere. It's the basis of understanding, like, building up like the definitions, like ontology, like the definition of defining things and trying to make arguments for like how things are things, and why we could look at a Buick and say that's a Buick because it's got the wheels and it was made in the Buick factory, and even if it's smashed and cubed, it's still like it was a Buick, or like at what point does it cease to be a Buick and stuff like that. Like that's where we get like platonic solids from. Like, so like the notion of like where he's going with this, we're gonna find out. But so far, I don't know where the hell we are.
frustration warnings. I'm like, I know this is, like I really don't like the OSR in a lot of ways, right? Like, hey, if you're a huge OSR fan, you don't have to listen to this, or I'll give different warnings, right? I'm giving a warning.
Have you ever noticed him giving us warnings? I mean, this is new to me because I don't remember him ever giving us a warning before. You know what I mean? I remember him calling us ignorant fools, but I don't remember him giving us much warnings.
For this release, okay? I'm giving a warning for this miniseries. This and it is a profundity warning. This is going to be extremely profound, and
it's gonna. I'm letting you know, it's gonna be profound. Will it be? Thank you for the warning. Why don't I tell you if it's profound, buddy?
And the gap that you have to clear to understand this is going to be difficult. You are going to need language of Dungeons and Dragons history. You are going to need language. You're going to need language to understand Critical Role's history, right? And if you don't know D&D history, and you don't know Critical Role's history, and you don't know Orion Acaba's history, there's no.
Do you know Orion Acaba's history? We've called that into question.
Possibility you will reach the end of this miniseries and have understood anything and be anything but frustrated. Okay? I'm giving a profundity warning, right?
A profundity
I'm giving
warning.
A depth of content warning, right?
A depth of okay.
If you have been here for this Orion Acaba playlist, where we're going now is going to be the most difficult journey. This is going to be difficult terrain, right? You're going to have to spend 2 squares of movement to move a single square here. This is harder than my normal content, and my normal content is extremely difficult, extremely frustrating, and extremely unique, right? Like,
I know you think that about it, but I'm going to tell you, Jay, we love you. It's not that it's difficult. It's that it's wrong, right? I'm not trying to be insulting, but just because you say that it's difficult to understand doesn't mean that it's difficult to understand. We get it. But it's not that we don't understand. It's that you're saying things that are just either factually incorrect, do not logically or reasonably make sense, or just word salad. You know what I mean? It is what it is, brother.
My content frustrates people normally, and I'm not even warning anyone, right? Like, right?
So you admit it. You don't warn people. You're warning people now.
This is not for the faint of heart. You are released. No one needs to watch this miniseries. Okay,
We're gonna
this
do it
is
anyway.
only for those who are on their Earth realm primary quest of
That's us. We're doing it. Your warnings, we're ignoring them. We're going for it.
understanding profundity, right? At the deepest cost to your intellectual rigor.
Oh, fool. What? I'm gonna do it. I'm so crazy. I'm gonna do
Even
it.
your emotional rigor and frankly your spiritual rigor.
My spiritual rigor. My God. Let's go for it.
Right? This is going to be costly, right? It's
Costly.
long, protracted group of videos, and it is going to be extremely difficult. Okay, so
I'm
you
down.
are released.
Folks, what do you say? Do we have what it takes? Jelly Beans here with us. Jelly Beans. Hey, hey. Don't be so cavalier, Jelly Beans. You've heard it here first. This is going to be like Paul Atreides drinking the water of life. This is going to be the truest of challenges. Do we have what it takes? Dare we cross the threshold? Like Farmer Ted in 16 Candles, I say to the metaphorical Jake that is J.Scott Garibay, Jake, I'm a gambling man by nature. Show me. Jelly Bean says, show me what you got. Lol, I have what it takes. Let's do this shit. Drop the tab, take the trip. Here we go.
If you don't, if anything I'm saying frustrates you, there are no victims here, only volunteers. You are released. The Dungeon Dudes are right down the hall to the left. Their channel is 100 times better than mine. They got lots of great stuff that you will not need to strain to understand. There is nothing profound there. Nothing will challenge you. Nothing will frustrate you, right? Like the Dungeon
Fuck that shit. Bring on the frustration. Test us. Test us.
Dudes are right down the hall. Check them out. They're fantastic. There's lots of other great channels right here on YouTube, right? You don't need to stick around for this. You are released. And with that, I'm going to start launching into Matthew Mercer, Orion Akaba,
Dude,
and Gary Gygax's.
this video, this was 7 minutes and 18 seconds of a straight intro. This was just the straight intro to this shit. Can you believe this? That was it was 7 minutes and 18 seconds of warning. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, kids. I'm here for it.
Augury of the Platonic Solid.
So is the cat.
Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion and my warning.
Your humble opinion, the 7 minutes and 18 seconds of due warning of the Indian Chiefs, due warning of you will not be the same once you enter in the threshold of the space between worlds, was your humble opinion. Nothing less than that. What? Okay.
To you. The important part is
we're gonna have a fetch millennium.
When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium.
Whatever you say, dude. Let's go.
Hi, friends. This is your pal Scott
What's
Garibay, and
wine?
today we are going to be talking about Matthew Mercer, Orion Akaba, and Gary Gygax's Augury of the Platonic Solids. Okay, so I've already done my release video on this. If you haven't seen that, go back and listen to that. But if you have and you're ready, buckle up. Here we go.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do the shit.
So why? Okay. So Gary Gygax gave Dungeons and Dragons to the world on February 7th, 1974.
That was the publication date. And also, you're the one who claims to care so much about D&D history. Why, bucko, are you still like a Saturday morning cartoon viewer, still refusing to accept? I know you watch my videos, still refusing to incorporate the baseline knowledge into yourself that the D&D was created by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. Plebeian noobs raised on 5th edition say Gary Gygax, Gary Gygax, Gary Gygax, Gary Gygax. Educated people say Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. People who just played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons have an excuse because Advanced Dungeons and Dragons was just Gary Gygax. People who played basically BX or Backme D&D really should be saying Dave Arneson, Dave Arneson, Dave Arneson, and leaving Gary Gygax at the side view, because that's pretty much was Dave Arneson's trip. So, whatever. I'm Team Arneson, by the way. The intellectual man's member of the dialectical diode that was the creation engine of Dungeons and Dragons. But don't get me off on a head trip.
We know this from the the making of Dungeons and Dragons, 1970 to 1978. That was a honking read that I had to finish in 2024.
Yeah, you obviously read it very carefully, because that's why you keep on saying Gary Gygax and not Dave Arneson.
It was wait a second. Yeah, that was a huge read that I recently finished. It was 578 pages long.
This guy is such a bullshitter. Everybody knows that this dude totally lies about shit that he read, shit that he didn't read, whatever, stuff that he played, stuff that he didn't play. No offense, J.Scott Garibay. You totally make up shit all the time. And everybody basically knows it at this point. Because if you had, there's no way that you wouldn't mention Dave Arneson as much as you mentioned Gary Gygax. Bro, it just is what it is, homie.
And in it explained how Gary dropped Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Oh, it didn't mention Dave Arneson?
And, all right, now when he did that, he decided very specifically to have Dungeons and Dragons, to craft Dungeons and Dragons with the iconic Dungeons and Dragons dice set, okay, which are 6 polyhedral shapes, okay? He chose a D4, a D6, a D8, a D10, a D12, and a D20, okay? All right, now, why did he choose those specific shapes? Why not other shapes? Why is the iconic set those 6 dice, right? And no others, right? Well, here's why. It is the augury of the platonic solids. Okay. So Gary Gygax, he was auguring Critical Role in 1974. He understood then that Dungeons and Dragons was going to go down an extremely difficult road. I think in 1974, Gary was aware that the Satanic Panic would happen.
Oh, bullshit. Oh my God.
He was also aware that Dungeons and Dragons was going to be around for at least 500 years, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And he was quite aware that he knew everything they were going to need. That's why he got Brian Bloom, right? Like, he knew they were going to need money. He knew this thing was going to blow off the shelves. He knew he'd be in Hollywood soon, right? But he also knew that Dungeons and Dragons would go through stages, right? And one of those stages would be that Dungeons and Dragons would go through the initial design stage, the initial growth stage, But then there would be a denouement. There would be a cooling. There would be a dip.
Ooh, he's
Right?
using the word
But then there would
denouement.
be, but then at some point, Dungeons and Dragons iconic player set would come out. Okay. And so he specifically chose those 6 polyhedral shapes in order to augur Critical Role specifically, because he knew there would be a group who would come after the dip
Did he really?
and then catapult Dungeons and Dragons forward again. And Gary Guy got catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 1974. Lorraine Williams catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 1986. Ryan Dancy catapulted for Dungeons and Dragons forward in 2001. Right? Matthew Mercer catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 2014. Right? And in 2015, Dungeons and Dragons iconic player set came, and they were augured, they were predicted, they were foretold by the specific shapes that Gary chose for the polyhedrons.
Uh-huh.
He chose those specific shapes to accomplish the augury of the Platonic solids. A lot more to this, but I wanted to explain why he chose the D4, the D6, the D8, the D10, the D12, and the D20. No other dice.
Well, you
He
actually
did not leave any of them.
you screwed up because you see, unfortunately, I have the OD&D Book 1 PDF in front of me right now on oh J.Scott Garibay. J.Scott Garibay. J.Scott Garibay. J.Scott Garibay. J.Scott Garibay. Death Angel Shadow. He doesn't recognize Dave, but it's cool. It's cool, Death Angel Shadow, that he doesn't recognize Dave. He doesn't recognize Dave, but it's cool, Death Angel Shadow, because you're here to see me, I think, unless I'm Death Angel Shadow, you're about to have some fun because but he's saying that Dungeons dudes are awesome, but he's saying it ironically because he's saying like basically he thinks that he is the master blaster. There is no one faster. There is no one greater. He thinks he's basically the Mr. Miyagi, the Sun Tzu of Dungeons and Dragons analysis, even though he's completely on planet. Welcome to the live chat, by the way, Death Angel Shadow. And what's going to happen is I'm going to school J.Scott Garibay in the cruelest of ways because what he just said about the dice is incorrect, I believe. We're going to rewind him. Welcome to the live chat, by the way. Like, comment, and subscribe, Death Angel Shadow. Please, please, please. Did he say Dungeons Dudes are awesome? Of course he did. He doesn't recognize Dave. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Guys, it's the teacher supply store. Lorraine Williams, the one who tried to drive DSR on the grab. Yeah. No, he's just there's much to enjoy about J.Scott Garibay. Let me do this here. Let me rewind a little. Just because what he's going to say is this whole thing about him, the augury of the Platonic solids. We want to get his dice count correct because I do have the PDF up and ready to look at because I believe that I have him caught in a incorrectness. I believe that he's incorrect and wrong, which will be delicious. It'll be oh so delicious if I'll look like a double wide douchebag, banana split, boner patrol, melting on the sidewalk of shame, which will be to the audience's delight either way, right? Am I correct? So let's go.
The D12 and the D20. No other dice.
Oh, let's get that whole
Iconic
cat stash,
and they
cat
were
stash.
augured. They were predicted.
Thank
They
you,
were
cat stash.
foretold by the specific shapes that Gary chose for the polyhedrons. He chose those specific shapes to accomplish the augury
Hold
of
on,
the
wait.
platonic
We gotta
solids.
get there
They
earlier.
were
Hold on.
augured. They were
Not the
predicted. They were foretold
wait, no,
by the
stop.
specific
Dismiss. Yes,
shapes
dismiss.
that Gary catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 2014, right? And in 2015, Dungeons and Dragons iconic player set came, and they were augured, they were predicted, they were foretold by the specific shapes that Gary chose for the polyhedrals. He chose those specific shapes to accomplish the augury of the platonic solids. A lot more to this, but but I wanted to explain why he chose the D4, the D6, the D8, the D10, the D12, and the D20. No.
Let's get the wait. Let me write this shit down because hold on. hold on. Let's get that because he's wrong. Because hold on. Because he names all the dice, but those are not all the dice that are in the set in 1974. Watch.
The D8, the D10,
Stop.
the D12, and the D20. No other dice.
Stop.
Players.
You motherfucker. Hold on.
Out, okay, and so he specifically chose those 6 polyhedral shapes in order to augur Critical Role specifically, because he knew
those 6 polyhedral shapes
who would come.
This is me proving that this dude is off on his history. Doesn't know his history.
Gary Guy got catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 1974. Lorraine Williams catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 1986.
Lorraine Williams almost destroyed it. She took it over and kicked Gary Gygax out. This guy's like such an ass.
And Dancy catapulted for Dungeons and Dragons forward in 2001.
Why? Because he did the OGL. He's a lawyer. This dude's like this guy just like watched like one podcast and just like came up with this like crazy stuff.
Right. Matthew Mercer catapulted Dungeons and Dragons forward in 2014.
Yeah, don't mention anyone involved in the actual production of the 2014 5th edition. Mention Matt Mercer. Okay, genius.
Right. And in 2015, Dungeons and Dragons iconic player set came.
And 2015 iconic player set came? What are you talking about, dude?
They were augured. They were predicted. They were foretold by the specific shapes that Gary chose for the polyhedrals. He chose those specific shapes to accomplish the augury of the platonic solids.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more to this, but I wanted to explain why he chose the D4, the D6, the D8, the D10, the D12, and the D20. No other dice, and did not leave any of them out.
And right? Did not leave any of them out. Okay, thank you. Watch this. It didn't mention Merle's Pundit. Don't get me started on Pundit, bro. I love you, man. Hold on, watch this. Watch this. Present. Share screen. I got the window. OD&D. Share. Here we go. Make sure you can see it. Where am I? Yeah, here we go. Boom. Dice. This is OD&D Book 1. This is the original Dungeons and Dragons Book 1. So this is the release in 1974. The following different kind of dice. 1 pair of 4-sided dice, 1 pair of 8-sided dice, 4 to 20 pairs of 6-sided dice, 1 pair of 20-sided dice, 1 pair of 12-sided dice. So, in other words, no 10-sided dice, no 12-sided dice. Incorrectamundo. No 10-sided dice, no 12-sided dice in the original OD&D released in 1974. Fuck all. Oh, I mean, the 12-sided dice is there. One pair of 12-sided dice. But there's no 10-sided dice. Do. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No 10-sided dice. You're incorrect, Amundo. Small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Your mother. It's so nice to be a dick around the house. It does say D12. I don't see D10. It does say D12. It says, you're right. It does say D12. It doesn't say D10. There you go. And regardless, he still doesn't mention Dave Arneson. And he still thinks that Gary Gygax predicted Critical Role for some reason.
Because he was accomplishing the augury of the Platonic solids. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comment.
And where was the causal connection? Remember, J.Scott Garibay says, I'm going to establish, at the beginning of the video says, I'm going to establish this. I'm going to establish that Gary Gygax predicted these things through the augury of the Platonic solids, and then says, da 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 da, and then at the end says, and therefore Gary Gygax predicted X, Y, and Z through the augury of the Platonic solids. Didn't make the case, didn't tie it together, didn't establish anything, just said whatever. But then again, this is just video 2. Maybe he'll do it in video 3 and 4. Only one way to find out, brothers and sisters.
Comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing and have a fetch millennium. Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to...
Will he do it in video number 3? Let's find out. It's color coded, by the way. We had red, we had wine, and we have blue. Fair use, fair use, fair use. The purpose of these videos are, well, if what J.Scott Garibay is saying, and giving him the benefit of the doubt that what he's saying is true, then what he is saying is unlocking the secrets to the greatest human improvement engine, secular human improvement engine known to man, which by definition is newsworthy, noteworthy, and worthy of discussion in the free marketplace of ideas. Therefore, fair use.
To talk about Matthew Mercer, Orion Akaba, and Gary Gygax's augury of the Platonic solids. So on February 7th, 1974, Gary Gygax set into place the specific polyhedrals that would create the iconic Dungeons and Dragons set. But the choice of exactly which shapes would go into that polyhedral set were actually an augury. They were.
First of all, everybody knows that those actual polyhedral dice were already in existence. The 20-sided dice, the 8-sided dice, the 10-sided dice, the 6, these were already in production. They didn't create new dice. They were in existence in wargaming. They were in existence in mathematics. They were in use. That's why they were selected. They weren't custom made for Dungeons and Dragons.
Were him auguring the iconic player set that would occur in Critical Role. And the first of those was the
So he's suggesting that Gary Gygax, of course, Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, chose the polyhedral dice that were used in role-playing games in 1974 in order to somehow predict and augur the use of polyhedral dice, the specific polyhedral dice that would be used in role-playing games in 2015 in the player set that would be used in the Dungeons and Dragons player set in 2015, which is a little bit like saying that the pants that George Washington wore at his inauguration were an augur and predictor of the pants that would one day be used by presidents being worn at their inauguration in 2025. It's ridiculous.
D4, which was the others player. So Gary Gygax augured that there would be one dungeon master, the D20, okay? And then he augured every other type of iconic player who would arrive. And the first type is the others player. And this was filled by Marisha Ray in Critical Role. And Critical Role is the.
Oh my God. Can you believe this shit? So he's now establishing, God bless you, J.Scott Garibay. God bless you, you motherfucker. I mean, honestly, God bless you. You heart of gold, son of a bitch, can't be sold, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Print you, 3D print you. That Gary Gygax, first of all, it was Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. Sorry. That created Dungeons and Dragons. You really think that you're going to establish the case that that the dice that were used predicted the specific players in Critical Role? Do you know? Are you serious? Critical Role are like the least important people in Dungeons Dragons history ever, dude. They're only important to people who needed to watch people play Dungeons and Dragons to know how to play Dungeons and Dragons. Most people learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons by just playing Dungeons and Dragons, dude.
Iconic player set. The player set that arrives and actually sets the foundation for what a player group should look like. Okay.
That is not what a player group should look like. That is absolutely not what a player group should look like. If I see any player group acting like Critical Role, I immediately disband that group or like beat them up. Like if the dudes like just immediately need to be taken outside, and just I don't believe in physical violence as a general principle, except when it comes to if I see anyone acting that absolutely lame.
And so what
It's like theater kids. You know what I mean? I have no problem with the stage. I have no problem with theater in essence, but theater kids, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Disbanded, send them all 4 different directions.
was Marisha Ray? She was the others type. She was specifically there at the table for the purpose of the others at the table. I don't believe for one moment that Marisha Ray ever had that she got into Dungeons and Dragons because she had any interest in Dungeons and Dragons. Like,
is she like the brunette? Which one is she?
I believe she was invited, and she's like, "Who's going to be there?" Right? And they were like Matthew Mercer, and she's like, "You stop talking, I'll be there. That's fine." All right.
Yeah, Matthew Mercer is so fine. The fact that Matthew Mercer is the rock star of TTRPGs lets you know like just how lame this fucking scene is. Do you know what I mean? It's like the hottest girl at the noise show. Do you know what I mean? Like the underground music show, like the hottest girl at the underground music show is just like
like, right, and that's it, right? And
like I tell every girl that I've ever met who's been like had really low self-esteem issues, I've been like, just like get a keyboard and like form like a dungeon synth project. Like self-esteem issues will go away. Like form like a noise project. Like just get a couple of pedals, like do a thing. Put out a tape. You'll have like 15 guys like buying you food constantly. You'll be like a Findom thing. You'll just like start playing role-playing games. You'll start a YouTube channel playing about role-playing games, and you'll have like 15,000 subscribers overnight. I don't know anything about role-playing games. It doesn't matter.
And I think she was genuinely interested in hanging out with the other people, and she's the others player. This is at every table. I'm convinced, and I think Gary knew this. He knew what this was going to look like. That there would be players at the table who had absolutely no interest in Dungeons and Dragons. They simply were interested in the other people at the table. So I think Marisha Ray is the others type of iconic player. Now, what is she? She is the D4. Why the D4? Because she's the least valuable of any of the players, right? She's not there. She's never going to have system mastery. She's not there to, out of.
What's wrong with the D4, man? It looks like a pyramid. Technically, the triangle is the strongest. The pyramid is like the triangle is like the strongest geometric shape.
Love of the genre. She's not there out of love of anything in Dungeons and Dragons. She's there because of the other people at the table, right? But she is there. She is a player. She is an iconic player, right? And these players don't have zero value, right? Because the reality is every single person at the table who belongs there brings value to the player set. And I do believe that Marisha Ray brings value to the player set. I believe that value is her encouragement of the other players and her
sex appeal,
her interaction with the other players.
Sexuality.
Right. Now, so she was the D4, the tetrahedron, and specifically she's in the iconic player set. She is the white plastic, green crayon D4 tetrahedron, and she is the first platonic solid.
Oh, it's the
and the
tetrahedron.
least valuable of the platonic solids.
Triangular
The one that
pyramid.
can do the least. It has the least numbers. It has the least power. It has the least value, right? And so, and Gary Gygax completely augured the other type and set into place the D4 as the least valuable.
Oh, each of these videos is going to have like a
Every
different.
single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion.
So guess what, guys? Predicting the future. Oh, like Gina D. Yeah. So, what you call it? I guarantee you, each one of these videos is going to be about a different one of the dice. He's going to be running a cult soon. If you can find believers, if you can find followers, it'd be great. There you go. There you go. So percentiles weren't a thing there either. I'm guessing I was one in 1974. I think they were. I think percentile deaths were a thing, and they just weren't in the for whatever reason they didn't put D10s in that set. Fetchable millennial. I've mostly seen JSG courtesy of Diversity and Dragons. There you go. I'd subbed him way back when and determined he was off his rocker. You determined correctly. I'm pretty sure I heard Gary bought them at a teacher's supply store there in Lake of Geneva. Absolutely, they were around. Look, I've got no hatred for CR, but I've never found it to be particularly enjoyable nor realistic of a real game and inconsistent on rules. Absolutely. This is the least happy of all the players. I'd be unhappy if he was at my table. Hey, listen, man, I'm all for adventure. Hey, Genocide, there you go. There you go. The adventure continues. So I think we're going to have a video for each die type, which is going to be great when we get to the D10s, which are not in the actual original ODD. I'm going to be reprimanded. Here comes the reprimand. No. No reprimand. No, not even. What's that? You're feeling it throw up. Oh, this is your witchy AIDS. Weird bag of witch crack. drug deals going down in the House of Fun. Tom's.
The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get. Hi, friends. This is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about.
It's like a French art house movie. They're all color coded. So this one is Augury of the Platonic Solids, gray. It's getting warm here. I feel like I should open a window or something. Oh. What is that? What is that? Crack open the door. Is that sweet or not sweet?
Yeah, no.
No, it's sweet. Yeah. Oh. See if that helps.
Matthew Mercer, Orion Akaba, and Gary Gygax's Augury of the Platonic Solids. And today we're going to talk about Taliesin Jaffe. All right, so on February 7th, 1974, Gary Gygax drops D&D, and
I think he's already there.
He augurs the upcoming prototypical absolute maximum.
See, then again, remember, anytime that J.Scott Garibay attempts to tell you that he's an expert in D&D history, again, he's constantly is going to lay out this date that Gary Gygax drops Dungeons & Dragons. Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. He claims that he read that whole book, but he's going to not mention Dave Arneson. Shut the fuck up, dude. Come on.
Player set who will take Dungeons and Dragons and catapult it forward, right?
They alone catapulted it forward. It had nothing to do with anything else going on at the time, like 5th edition.
And he really augurs Critical Role. Okay, so I've already discussed and explained to you exactly how he.
How did he augur Critical Role? Tell us. How did he augur Critical Role?
Augured Marisha Ray, the Others type.
You didn't explain anything. You just said she is the 4-sided die. She's the tetrahedron. You didn't explain it. You didn't establish anything about it. You just said it, and then had some flowery language about it. It is what it is, bro.
The Others player, right? So today we're going to talk about Taliesin Jaffe. So Scott, how did Gary Gygax, 41 years before they would start playing, augur Taliesin Jaffe? What did he say about Taliesin Jaffe? Absolutely nothing, right? Taliesin Jaffe was not augured by Gary Gygax, okay? And the reason why is Taliesin Jaffe should have never been at the Critical Role table, okay? Now, the augury of the Platonic Solids is a 41-year augur by Gary Gygax declaring exactly what the iconic player set should be, right? D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20, one specific person iconically templating this type of player set forever forward, right? As the template, as the paragon of that player type.
Bearing in mind that D10 wasn't included in the original OD&D.
Right. And so he set this into place 41 years so that Matthew Mercer would be able to pick it up and say, okay, I need these 5 players, and this is how we're going, I'm the D20, I need to get my D4, I need to get my D6, I need to get my D8, I need to get my D10, I need to get.
There was no D10 in the original OD&D.
My D12s, and then everything's going to be in place. It's going to be perfect, and we're going to catapult forward Dungeons and Dragons exactly the way that Gary intended, right? Or actually, that he augured, not intended.
What about Dave Arneson?
augured. Okay. All right. So wait. Why is Taliesin Jaffe there? Like he was at the table, and the reason why is Matthew Mercer didn't get it all right. Right. Like
Oh, there was more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 7 players at the Critical Role table. So this is Matt Mercer not getting it all right. So this is like J.Scott Garibay is like your classic like millennial preacher, right? He's like that guy that predicted the end of the world in 2012. You know what I mean? December 21st, 2012, or then does his date and puts it around, or he's like a Joseph Smith. You know what I mean? This Iris from ancient Egypt says this, the other thing. You know, he just predicts things. You know what I mean? Just like moves it all around. If it doesn't happen, does or the Jehovah's Witnesses saying that the world's gonna end in 1975, right? Oh, it doesn't end in 1975, so you move. Oh, we got it wrong. This date they move around. If it was actually that Jesus Christ was ruling the heaven since 1841, not this. You know what I mean? Just move it around. Oh,
did you read Harry Potter? Like they're like, oh, you're the chosen one. And
Did
everybody's
you
like,
read
you ain't
Harry
reading
Potter?
those omens right. You're not reading the interpretations right. Right.
You just didn't read the interpretations right. Matthew Mercer, Matthew Mercer is the Metatron of Gary Gygax's holy readings. And this again, J.Scott Garibay claims to be an evangelical Christian, but does he talk about Jesus Christ at all? Very little. He talks more about Gary Gygax's like holy auguries. He talks more about Orion Akaba's hidden messages than he talks about any hidden messages in the Bible.
And Matthew Mercer did not do it perfect, right? Taliesin Jaffe should never have been at the Critical Role table. And it is my humble belief that at every single moment of his table, Taliesin Jaffe has done nothing but make Critical Role worse. He is the only player at the table that I think has done this. But I honestly believe that Critical Role would be better in every possible way if Taliesin Jaffe had never sat down at the table.
Well, how would you know? Because all we know is Taliesin Jaffe at the table, apparently, for all the years that he's been there.
I also think there would have been a good chance that they would have just hired John Harper to create Candela Obscura, and that Candela Obscura would have been a massive hit if Taliesin Jaffe never had sat down at that Critical Role table. So,
well, Taliesin Jaffe didn't make Candela Obscura. He just was the DM for that sessions or whatever. They hired whoever they hired to make Candela Obscura, and it was what it was.
So Scott, then what is Taliesin Jaffe? He is a D4. He is definitely the least valuable of all player types, right? Like, and what
I thought Marisha Ray was the D4
player type he is? Null, literally null, NULL, right? Like, just he should never have been at the Critical Role table. Okay, now he is still a Dungeons & Dragons player. So what exactly is Taliesin Jaffe? He is a red plastic D4 tetrahedron platonic.
So he's like this. He gives the people actual colors. Like, remember, like Marisha Ray was the like white plastic with some color with the white crayon filled in. So it's crazy.
Solid, okay. With white, with black crayon, red
with black crayon. First of all, these are not platonic ideals. The platonic ideals exist in metaphysical space. They wouldn't have like red crayon in them. They wouldn't have like a specific color. There'd be a platonic ideal is the metaphysical ideal of the shape of the the thing.
Red plastic with black crayon. Okay. Well, you're like, wait. You said that Marisha Ray was white plastic with green crayon. That's right, because she's in the iconic player set, and every single die in that player set is white plastic with green crayon, right?
What? The player set is white plastic with green crayon? What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
You're like, so you just have a D4 that's red. You have a red plastic D4 with black crayon. Where's the rest of that set? Yeah, that's a real good question. Where is the rest of that set? Right. So that is, and this is extremely important. We read.
When I bought the Frank Mentzer red box, it had the blue dye with the white crayon that you made the white crayon to make the numbers stick out. I don't know if like other dyes, like other sets had crayon to fill in other dice with other colors or whatever. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. The red box had blue dice with white crayon. That's what I had.
Reach this point by understanding what Gary did, right? And this is Taliesin Jaffe. He is
Say
that
hello to
guy when you
Jesus
get all your dice
J.
together and you've had dice for
All my
years,
original dice
right?
came with a white
You're like, what the
crayon
heck is this? It's one die
with a
from a
blue
set,
dice,
and
though.
I don't have any of the other dice from that set. And you're like, I should throw this out. But then you're like, I'm a dungeon master and a dragon master. I can't throw out dice. I literally can't do it because I'm sure that set's going to turn up somewhere. And then you keep it for another 8 years and not a single other one ever falls. And you're like, oh my gosh, I still have this stupid die. It does nothing. It never reaches the table. It's so useless, right? That is Taliesin Jaffe. He is an offset. He is the D4 red plastic, black crayon tetrahedron offset. There's no other matching dice to him. He does not serve any purpose at the Critical Role table, and he has actively detracted from the experience of everybody at the table and everybody observing the table.
This has been why it lasted so long. Unlike your boyfriend, Ryan Akama, who got kicked off after 27 episodes.
Everyone, right? Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. You get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. Sorry to be a mean girl, but stop trying to make fetch happen. Next video. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's it. That's the end. That's it. Oh, shit. Wait. If we went back, we would get, so I'm going to, we were at 1 hour and 41 minutes, which is pretty tight for me. If we went back, we'd hear him talking about, whatchamacallit, comic book day. The evangelical Christian has now embraced prognostication and augury. It's only a matter of time before he's practicing ritual magic. Yes. He hasn't finished the series yet? I don't think so. Let's see. I may have screwed up. Hold on. Let me see something. Hold on. Let me see. Playlists. Today and Jay. Okay. How many of those are there? No, there were 4 of those. So I think we got all the platonic solids because there was the one intro. Let me see. I think we got all the platonic solids. So we'll do this. We'll pick it up from the top. Yeah, we'll keep going for a little more. Tim Frey's still going. Tim Frey's like, I'm not done. He hasn't had his fill. Here we go.
Scott Garibay.
This is still from today.
We are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and today we're going to talk about revealed wisdom from the Orion Akaba exile, from the exile of Orion Akaba by Matthew Mercer in 2015. And we're specifically going to talk about a teaching table and what we sacrifice to teach. All right. Okay. So I hope I'm going to get that far. Actually,
I doubt it.
What we're going to talk about today is the exile of Orion Akaba and the Tower of Babel. I think I need to explain that before we move into the sacrifices caused by a teaching table. All right. Thanks for your patience. We'll get there. Okay. So this is an incredible journey. I am learning more about Dungeons and Dragons from the study of the Critical Role Orion Akaba exile than I really do think this has revealed more about Dungeons and Dragons to me than anything else I've studied in 10 years. I've read thousands of pages to learn about Dungeons and Dragons. I've
doubtful because you keep on failing to mention Dave Arneson, right?
Studied Dungeons and Dragons past, present, and future.
Don't mention Dave Arneson.
I've observed the greatest experts on Dungeons and Dragons,
and never mentioned Dave Arneson.
And somehow the Critical Role exile of Orion Akaba is turning out to be the overturned stone that all the bugs are skittering out of, right? And why is that? I think there's a really good question. Like, and this is very upsetting to people. A lot of people are like, Scott, you have to stop. You have to stop poking at this. You have to stop observing this. You can't talk about this. And this is quite literally all open discussion of Orion Akaba has been shut down on every Critical Role platform for a decade. Right?
We've talked about this because they just don't want people constantly talking shit about this dude. They just like they just don't want people constantly just like bashing the guy over and over again. They just shut it down to protect themselves. They shut it down to protect Orion Akaba.
Like that right there should tell you something, right? Whenever somebody says you can't talk about a thing, that's you definitely gonna find something interesting there, right?
This is we asked and answered,
with a few exceptions, right? Even there's topics I don't touch with a 10-foot pole as well, but this is truly fascinating. So I find this is really fascinating. That's where we're going. Okay, so what is happening with the Orion Akaba exile? So I think there, as I look at this, there's so much here, and the reason why is why is this organically revealing wisdom? Why is this organically revealing things about the D&D community? Why is this organically
to you? It's like only revealing the stuff to you because this is all happening in your mind.
Revealing things about the structure of narrative. Why is this organically revealing things about the structure of identity? Well, this is a riddle wrapped in an enigma, right?
In a vest.
All this is happening because of Dungeons and Dragons. Fundamentally, we're 50 years in and no one understands what Dungeons and Dragons is.
No one understands what Dungeons and Dragons is. We're 50 years into Dungeons and Dragons and no one understands what it is. Can you believe that? We've all been playing Dungeons and Dragons for 50 years and no one understands what it is. If that seems crazy to you, it's because it's crazy.
You ask people and that's not me just saying that. Like
that is just you saying that.
We literally just came across the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie.
That movie came out years ago. It came out a couple of years ago, dude. At this point, it came out around the time of the OGL crisis. It was years ago. It's like 2023. It's 2 years ago.
And I listened to a bunch of people, a bunch of movie reviewers, talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and literally I probably listened to 50 reviews of the movie, right? And these are people who were not coming from Dungeons and Dragons. And I can tell you right now, the world has no idea what Dungeons and Dragons is.
You listen to movie reviews by people that did not come from Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't understand what Dungeons. First of all, press X it out. People know what Dungeons and Dragons is at this point in time in history. People understand what TTRPGs are. People understand what role-playing games are.
They don't know if it's a video game. They don't know if it's a board game. And then you're like, it's a game, and they're like, wait, it's not a board game or a video game, and you're like, yeah, that's right.
Like your grandma doesn't know what Dungeons and Dragons is. Everyone else knows what Dungeons and Dragons is.
And they're like, wait, so you're saying it's a game, but there's no winner and loser, and there's no end to it, right? Like you sit down and play for years, and you don't know when it ends. You invite people to 4-hour blocks, and like
Monopoly.
And you have to read thousands of pages to play, and there's no winning and losing. And all of this comes from Gary Gygax because
Dave Arneson.
He didn't create a game. He hid a human improvement engine in a game, in my humble opinion. And so right there, you start, and so once that thing starts to grow and starts to go in different directions, you hit a situation like Orion Akaba. And
a dude who got kicked off of a Let's Play after 27 episodes for being a dick and bringing a live flamethrower to the set because he kept on showing up high and fudging rolls and fucking up and being a fucking maniac.
I believe there are people in the world who are basically, Gary Gygax has become a catalyst in their lives, and they grow in really profound ways, right? I believe Amanda Hayes.
And there are people that absolutely become stunted and, twisted too, right? You know what I mean? Hey, you know what I mean? It's a bunch of people read Mein Kampf. It takes them in all sorts of different directions, right? You know what I mean? Some people read the Bible and it opens their minds, changes their lives too,
Heyman is one of these people. I believe Orion Akaba is one of these people. Matthew Mercer is absolutely one of these people. Brandish Gilhelm over that dude, man.
Dude lost a foot. I don't know if it was related to D&D or some sort of other crazy thing happened, but I know he lost a foot. I like to joke about it all the time because I don't know. I also like the notion that there's some people that can get as many tattoos as they want to and lift as many weights as they want to, and they'll still be just a total schmendrick. You know what I mean? They'll just never be that impressive to me. They'll just always be like, you know what I mean? Oh wow, your art is amazing, and you're just like an absolute cheese dick. You know what I mean? Have as many magical names as you want to, paint as many magical models as you want to. I get it. No, I think you're a beautiful person, child of the universe. Absolutely be one of the first people I would put in the cauldron of fire to just, burn because you just suck immensely. I mean, I wouldn't really do that to you. I wouldn't really do that to you, but that's how I feel about you because you suck.
Luke Crane, like there's just people whose lives have been
Whose name just blows, like Luke Crane. Like, talk about a lame name. Like, what are you, a Street Fighter?
fundamentally Joe Manganiello, right? That dude is just a bog standard Hollywood celebrity, but D&D
Hollywood celebrity. Let's not get carried away.
helped him, harmed him, cost him.
Took him for a ride on a bike. Tempted him to the back of a white panel van with an ice cream cone, and something happened. I just want to talk about it.
Like, it's truly profound. So I think what happened, and this is the key, is nobody understands what's happening with Dungeons and Dragons right now. And I
don't understand stuff with Dungeons and Dragons.
I just told you that people outside the D&D community don't understand it. Even people inside the D&D community don't.
Gary Gygax didn't understand Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Monty Cook doesn't understand Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? Jonathan Tweet. You think Jonathan Tweet gets Dungeons and Dragons? Jonathan Tweet doesn't even understand, doesn't even have the barest inkling of what Dungeons and Dragons is really about, right? Dave Arneson. You think Dave Arneson understood at the time of his death what Dungeons and Dragons was really about? Really about? Please.
Don't understand it, and it goes in so many directions, right? I listened to a very nice gentleman, and he did a whole breakdown on Shadow Dark, and he's a British guy, right? Did a 15-minute breakdown on it. He's like, why the heck did Shadow Dark blow up, right?
Because Kelsey Dion's a woman.
And he looked through the entire book. He's like, there's nothing special here. This is a bog standard OSR, and yet this thing is on fire and has taken over the entire tabletop role-playing game space, right? And I had to tell him, Shadow Dark is huge, not because of Shadow Dark, but because it's Kelsey Dion. Kelsey Dion, right? Gary Gygax is a spark in her heart and has made her grow in incredible different directions.
And more important than the spark in her heart that is Gary Gygax is the fact that she's a vagina. And the majority of people who are involved in TTRPGs don't. And there's a mathematics there that is very easy to understand.
And it's the same. It's the same. Like, it is genuinely the same with Orion Akaba. So Orion Akaba comes.
He's got vagina too.
On to Critical Role, and people just don't I guarantee you, there will be books, there will be dissertations, there will be books written about the beginning of Critical Role. Right? We're just
I guarantee you that there won't be. I mean, maybe there's dissertations written about pretty much everything. There's dissertations written about smell in literature, right? Bearing in mind that books are descriptive and smell is a sensation. There's dissertations written about smell in literature. So yeah, I mean, there could be. I heard about a person who went to Hampshire College, and their concentration, because they don't have majors, their concentration was in stand-up comedy, right? And I want to tell you something. Going to Hampshire College, even at the time which was decades and decades ago, was expensive. Stand-up comedy.
decade out. And I don't need to wonder. I read a 578-page book.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You did not read. You did not read that book. You did not read that book, homie. Press X to doubt. We're gonna catch up in another big lie. I'm gonna bust my time limits on this one. I always fantasize about doing one of these videos that comes in less than 2 hours, because if I do it less than 2 hours, StreamYard will cut it up for myself and cut it up for me with AI and make little clips. But fuck that shit, because I have him in another video where he totally lies about having multiple Warhammer armies. We're totally getting there.
On the
Fuck
first
that
8
shit.
years of D&D history, right? There is literally a Dungeons and Dragons. There's literally an entire university now dedicated to learning Dungeons and Dragons.
There's an entire university dedicated to learning Dungeons and Dragons. What?
An entire university. That
Really? What is there? Is there an entire clown college dedicated to midget pornography? I don't think there is. It'd be wonderful if there was, but I don't think so. I can say it out loud. It doesn't make it so.
just started in the last 5 years.
Yeah, really? Where's this place called? What is it? It's in Canada with your girlfriend?
Astounding. Like this, the things happening. And again, what, like, does Candyland have a university? Does he?
I bet it does. In your world, it does. Along with Lego, or the official miniatures of D&D.
Monopoly. Monopoly's way bigger, made way more money, right? They did a 15-minute talk about Monopoly in the middle of A24's horror film Heretic. There isn't a Monopoly university. There isn't a university dedicated to teaching Monopoly, right? Dungeons and Dragons doesn't match anything in the world, right?
Especially when you make up shit about it in the middle of your videos. Like, did you know that Dungeons and Dragons is an official religion of Sweden, and that the 13-year-old girls there are dedicated to become angels of light for Gary Gygax's University of the Pleasure Dome, and they become emissaries of the Universal Guardian, and to fight dragons, which are real.
And so, at the beginning of 2015, Orion Akaba sits down to the Critical Role table, and what nobody understood was he broke that table in half. Right? It was just like, this is no longer a Dungeons and Dragons table. This is a teaching table. This is a teaching table. I'm going to teach.
That's what he did. Is that what he did? Did you know that Tom Hanks's movie Bachelor Party was actually a thinly veiled metaphor for gnosis in the plight of man's desire to escape God and transcend sin through mortality?
Every Dragon Master in the future how to do dice interpretation, that there is an opportunity and an uncomfortableness that about emergent capabilities and about bringing your whole self to a performance, right? And what he did is just being unpacked now, right?
By you and you alone, because no one else is talking about Orion Akaba, dude. Is that what you're telling us? Or is that what you think is? Do you think there are other people talking about Orion Akaba?
Just unpacked now, right? Now, why am I talking about this? Because it is a Tower of Babel moment, right? I would like to say there's something supernatural happening here, but we can't go there. And the reason why is the Tower of Babel was a situation where humans did something so profound that God was like, no, stop. You have to slow down, right? This is so complicated, so complex, so overwhelming, right? For all of humanity, that you have to stop, right? I'm going to stop you, right? And I think all this started on February 7th, 1974, when Gary Gygax dropped the most powerful secular.
Okay, we have to know and understand just what J.Scott Garibay is implying here, right? Just take a moment to understand that what J.Scott Garibay is implying here. It's a Tower of Babel moment. So are we all going to be, dispersed across the land?
Narrative tool, the most powerful secular identity tool that humans
and Dave Arneson had
ever seen, right? And then Gary.
And again, look at the original OD&D. I mean, let's say what you want. You know what I mean? Like, forget, however they advance with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and etc. OD&D at its original inception kind of sucked.
he died and he became this spark. He became this spark in different people's hearts, right? And Orion was one of them. And what he did.
First of all, like Gary Gygax didn't die until like what 2009. He became a spark. Like what are you talking about? Like, you know, if you're an evangelical Christian, you need to be very, very cautious of the way you're talking about Gary Gygax, because where you're going is coming very, very close to fucking blasphemy, right? Gary Gygax was a fucking dude. You know what I mean? It just is what it is, bro.
In 2015, at the Critical Role table, is so profound, it's going to take years to unpack it.
I'm sure.
And it's not just me. Super Geek Mike's on this too.
Super Geek Mike is not on this, dude. You're just totally imagining shit. It's wonderful and it's beautiful, but you are just totally imagining shit. And you yourself said that Super Geek Mike had made throwaway videos. You're just like, from one day to the next, your conception of what's going on and what people are doing is just totally changes. Totally different.
He has videos just like mine, right? Not as many.
No, he doesn't have videos just like yours. His videos say very different things. His take on Orion Akaba was Orion Akaba was a fucked up, fucked around and found out, and got fired. That's his videos on Orion Akaba and Tiberius Stormwind.
Right, but he knew there was something special there. There are a lot of people, right? And we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure out what Orion Akaba did, right, and how it changed Dungeons and Dragons forever, and how it changed the world forever. But right now, I just need you to understand, like, we're at the discovery stage. We're just at, like, where lawyers like get a case and they're like, we just need to get all the data, right? We can't take any actions.
This dude, Orion Akaba, got fired from Critical Role over a decade ago, bro. Like 8 or 9 years ago. The discovery stage is long gone. You know what I mean? It's like, not only did the chick break up with you, she broke up with the dude that she left you for. She had a kid with the dude that she was with after the dude that she broke up with you and was with after she broke up with you, right? One of the kids that she had with the dude who she was with after the dude she got with after she broke up with you died of a heroin overdose because he was 13. He died young, man. That was a tragedy. It's so long ago, right? You ran into her the other day. She hardly recognized you, right? You know what I mean? It's over. The discovery phase is over, dude. The case has been dismissed for lack of prosecution.
We can't make any assumptions. We're in the discovery phase. And I'm convinced nobody understands what happened with Orion Akaba.
No, we know you're unconvinced and no one understands. Everyone else understands. You're the only one who Orion Akaba understands. Everyone understands but you, bro. Right? Reality's just not that into you.
Not even me fully.
The pretzel factory's not that into you.
Right? But I do
I won't go to the pretzel factory.
Understand that he has to be returned to the table.
He won't be. Right? When we all look like assholes when he is. But we won't. Because he's not going to be. What is that? Branch 72.5? What is it? Oh, it's like a union.
It's just critically important. I know this video was very unusual. It had a really odd shape. I really appreciate your patience. I know any content that exists on the internet anywhere, right? And that's because Gary Gygax is a spark in my heart.
It's not because Gary Gygax is a spark in your heart, dude. It's not because Gary Gygax is a spark in your heart, man. It's because you are you're going crazy, bro. That's okay. That's allowed within reason, but you just don't want to be a threat to the safety of yourself or others, man. But that's the risk. You know, that's what people are concerned about, because none of this shit's going to pan out the way you think it is, because you are not tethered to reality currently.
And I grow in directions that other people simply don't grow. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider like subscribing and have a fat millennium.
Man, I want to go to all these restaurants. You're getting hungry out here. Checking into the live chat. We got this. Hold on, we got the Let me show you my schnozzes. There you go. I'm not looking like one of Donald Trump's sons. Here we go. There we go. More. There we go. We got my recovering pap and my put upon stepmom literally made me drink room for Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, blame them. Blame it, folks. It's a game, just a game, a great game, but still a game. Wise words, Death Angel Shadow. Thousands of pages to play. That's these places he's read. The funny mentalist Christians used to tell me D&D would drive me insane. Shows them. We all got 2 feet, could have lost your head. JFC driving while 2 cars pass, no hands on wheel. There you go. Want some candy? Can you help me find my lost puppy? There you go. Hey, listen, you know what I mean? What type of puppy? What kind of candy? Respond when people get back to you. Just got out of bed after 9 weeks with acute hepatitis. Gary was a Christian too. Here we go. Radium Mormont. Okay, what weird shit is this? Like, you gotta ask. I've got restraining orders from people I don't remember from 10 years ago, probably. Hey, listen, you gotta keep up to date with those things. You don't want to accidentally go within 45 feet of someone. You got my heart beats at the end of 30 restraining orders. Classic line. There you go. A cult leader schizophrenic in the making. There you go. There you go. And the hits just keep on coming. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Let's see which one this is. We got Critical Role lead Matthew Mercer and how Orion Akaba, the importance of the teaching table, in my humble opinion.
And today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about.
Now, bear in mind, we got different shirts. So these are all uploaded on the same day. So these are not recorded on the same day, but they're uploaded on the same day. So he obviously records videos and then we'll upload them kind of, I think what he thinks are like kind of like grouped together. But I also noticed that he kind of he uploads kind of like he'll upload in the beginning of the morning. He uploads a series of shorts. And then over the course of between, like, say, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., he uploads a series of, like, I think basically like every half hour, an hour and a half's worth of videos of between 7 minutes and 11 minutes worth of length, usually totaling about an hour and a half's worth of material. Like, if this is what I'm figuring out about the guy. So there's there's a very kind of precise kind of way. And then there's some days that one day he just went off the board and like uploaded like 2 hours worth of material. But I think it was like obviously in response to me starting to do these kind of this like extended coverage of him. I think he kind of had a response kind of swing where you need to get it off of his chest.
Revealed wisdom from Orion Akaba's transformation of the Critical Role Exandria table into from a play table to a teaching table, right? And the ramifications of that today, that happened in 2015. Now we're unpacking it in 2025. And I want to talk about revealed wisdom from that element of the Akaba 72 window. All
He's
right.
been stockpiling
So first
videos.
of all, what is the Akaba 72 window? So the Akaba 72, so basically there are huge events that happen in the history of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not saying this, like last year we got a 578-page book on the history of just 8 years of Dungeons and Dragons. The amount of focus that goes into specific moments in Dungeons and Dragons histories is immense. And this one is not currently recognized as, there is some recognition. There are people who are realizing that there are actually already people who are saying Dungeons and Dragons was forever changed by the work Orion Akaba did. That Critical Role.
There's no one that is saying that Dungeons and Dragons has been changed by the work that Orion Akaba did. Are there people that say that Dungeons and Dragons has been changed by Critical Role? Sure. Critical Role. Is there anyone that's saying that it's been changed by Orion Akaba specifically? one guy, one man. That man is J.Scott Garibay, right? Without a doubt. Now, look, it is a big world full of between, at this point, I think 9 billion people. Am I saying that there's no one else other than J.Scott Garibay who thinks that Orion Akaba is the bee's knees? If I say that, I'm asking to be, slapped in the face with a stale donut, right? Because that's, you know, it's improbable that there's no one else that shares this opinion, you know what I mean? Because it's a big world full of a lot of crazy people. But as far as we know, there's only one person that has put forth the opinion that Orion Akaba is the most important player that has ever existed in the world of Dungeons and Dragons who has made any lasting impact in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's J.Scott Garibay. It just is what it is.
Absolutely changed Dungeons and Dragons forever. And Orion Akaba, of course, is a Critical Role co-founder responsible directly for 72 episodes.
27 episodes. Undeniable. You can keep on saying a lie as much as you want to. I can say a lie. Check this out. You want to know the facts? I'll tell you the facts. I'm R. Kelly. I'm R. Kelly. I'm responsible for all his hits. I sang all those tunes. The guy that's currently sitting in jail, yeah, he's the guy that did those crimes. But he's not me. I'm the real R. Kelly. And the guy that you thought was R. Kelly, the guy you thought was a black man, I know why you think that. And I can understand. And you're not wrong for thinking that. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm R. Kelly. And I want to go half on a baby. With you. Oh. And you look at me. And I look at you. And you look at me. So I said all night. It's not going to change the fact that I'm not R. Kelly, bitch.
Robustly for over 200 episodes, and is currently active at every single D&D canon session that is.
You are crazy. Every time we play D&D, every time I play D&D, every time you play D&D, every time we play solo D&D, Orion Akaba is there. You are buck nutty. That is a crazy thing to say, right? But you want to keep on saying crazy things? This dude has got 4 children, adult children, trying to make their way in the world today. Because his name is J.Scott Garibay, because his Facebook is J.Scott Garibay, because his LinkedIn is J.Scott Garibay, because the white pages that we all see on the internet or the white pages you all see on the internet, because I'm a curious motherfucker. I'll never dox the dude, but you go in, you do a random internet search. You don't have to go past page 2 to figure out his wife, his kids, where they all live, where everyone's at. And they're normal people. And you just gotta know that they know that their old man is doing this shit. And you feel for him. His son, I know where his son works. And it's just got to be fucking murder town. Because the son does not look like the son is the coolest guy on the planet Earth, right? The daughter's, one of the daughters is fairly hot. One of the daughters is not so. And they just got to be like, what the fuck, Dad? You know what I mean? The hell are you doing? The wife has got to be, are you kidding me? The wife has got to be, are you fucking kidding me? If they're still together, it's fucking nuts. If you go to his channel and go back in time, his channel's been around so long, you see his kids were in his videos. And you could see the kids were 9 years old, 12 years ago. It's like they're adults now. 12 years old, 12 years ago, they're adults now.
Is occurring today and has occurred after Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, right? Orion Akaba's impact on Dungeons & Dragons is undeniable. and on Critical Role, it's absolutely undeniable. It's just Critical Role would have never succeeded without his work ever. There's no possibility. He can't succeed today. We know that because Brian Foster's work has been completely severed from Critical Role, right? Critical Role is fine without it, but you absolutely could never remove what Orion Akaba has done, because Critical Role has written his work into audio, video, and print for a decade, right? And literally everyone who understands Exandria only got there through those 72 episodes.
27.
That 72 episode on ramp and then more. All right. So let's go ahead and get all the way there on this. Okay. So Orion Akaba transformed, and I've already.
Now, can you imagine being the people next to this guy in traffic, looking over and being like, "What's this guy screaming about?"
Define this in another video. Transforms previous. Just go back one. Transformed the Critical Role table to a teaching table, and he taught 4 distinct things. Right. Now let's look at the revealed wisdom of that. So when he did this, it wasn't understood at all, right? Like nobody, and actually he didn't teach anything to anyone at the table, right?
You're damn right, because he was the fuck up at the table.
We only have those 4 lessons now, 10 years later, right? And so he placed lessons into that 72, into the Akaba 72 window that are only understood today, right? And the reason, and actually, as he attempted to teach, right, he really frightened everybody at the table. And these were people who said they were his friends. It said they were his friend. They all, everybody at the table was a friend. Oh, everybody but Orion Akaba, he was the one enemy at the table, or he was the one a stranger. At no point did you ever say that, right? In fact, you've insist for a decade that everybody at the table is friends, right? So it's really, really interesting. All right.
Okay, Tony. Okay,
so
buddy.
Let's get all the way there. So, what is
Where
the
we
cost
going, this kid?
of a teaching table, right? And I've been watching the show The Pit. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. Recommend it to anyone. And it's 15 episodes about an ER, an emergency room in Pittsburgh, right? And it's a teaching hospital. And many, many, many times during the show, there are situations where very experienced doctors are coming.
He's 55.
They'll be like,
he's 55.
There's just one person, right? And their heart was filling with blood.
He actually believes what he's saying.
A piggyback braid, which is this wire that's going to go into the heart. You're going to insert it, and then you're going to suck out the blood using this piggyback braid wire, right? And
we've been through that arc.
Essentially residents, right? There, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great."
Radium Marmot, we've been through that arc.
We're going to do it.
We deny it. We deny it.
At multiple points in the show, the residents are like, "Yo, this person has a 5% chance of living if I do this, and a 25% chance of living if you do this," right? And the doctors they always say the same thing. They're like, "No, you're going to do it, right? I absolutely could do it, right? But you're going to do it." And the reason why is this is a teaching hospital. We are literally willing to sacrifice human lives to build new doctors. Right?
No, they're not willing to sacrifice human lives to build new doctors. That's not what a teaching hospital is. A teaching hospital is a hospital that fully functions as a hospital. They just allow medical students to observe and walk around along with the doctors. They don't allow the involvement of students to in any way, shape, or form interfere with the proper care of the patients. And if at any time a patient says, "What are these other people doing here?" you're allowed to say, "Well, what are these other people doing here?" "Well, they're students. Get them out of here." It would really help if you let them stay and observe, because it helps them learn how to be better doctors and care for people in the future. Oh, okay, then okay. They can look at my asshole too. Thank you, sir. Be respectful. Okay.
Right. And so when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why there was such a terrible reaction to Orion Akaba transforming the Critical Role table into a teaching table.
Yeah, that's why he was teaching them. He wasn't just cheating. He wasn't just being a fuck up. He was teaching them. I wasn't sexually assaulting that person. I was teaching them about boundaries and the necessity of transcending the mere mundane sense of this is me and that's you.
People didn't have any space for it. They didn't understand that not only were they didn't understand that in order to build the most compelling narrative that exists in Dungeons and Dragons ever,
because that's important,
that they would have to learn. But the people at the table would never learn that lesson. And only later, right, people who had observed it would learn those lessons today, right? And thank goodness for YouTube, be able to, to share those lessons with the world.
Because everybody knows what people do on YouTube is watch old videos. I can tell you that people often do is watch archival stuff. You can see on those old Critical Role videos that the numbers keep on ticking up. No one likes anything more than old YouTube videos from years ago. They love to watch that shit.
The 4 lessons of the teaching table of Akaba, right? Now, what's interesting is that now the revealed wisdom is, what are we willing to sacrifice to build the new Matthew Mercer, right?
Nothing.
We saw what it took to teach Dragon Masters, right? It meant it was the reason that Orion Akaba was kicked off the table, because they simply didn't understand what he was doing, right? They didn't understand that there was opportunity and uncomfortableness. They didn't understand that he was generating wealth for them, right? They didn't understand that he was showing everyone, you bring your whole self to the game. You don't bring this fake partial self.
Speed it up.
They didn't understand what he was doing. Now we're getting there, right? Now we're at the point where we need to start building Matthew Mercer, and man, oh man, do we need to build a new Matthew Mercer. They have tried again and again and again, bringing in the...
We have to build a new Matthew Mercer. Why? Why do we need to build a new Matthew Mercer? So that dunkheads and lunkheads can have someone to watch play Dungeons and Dragons instead of playing Dungeons and Dragons themselves. I would suggest that we just need to foster confidence in the younger generation to be proper DMs themselves and not to watch other people do shit.
Best dungeon masters they can find: Brendan Lee Mulligan, Abria Iyengar, many others, right? And no one can scratch
Joe Schmo, Dick the Finnegan Impaler, Mary Sue Von Downtown A,
the numbers of Matthew Mercer,
Lydia Lip.
So what is it going to take to teach a new Matthew Mercer at the table? Well, it was catastrophic, even trying to teach a single player at the table 10 years ago, right? In the Pittsburgh ER, they were sacrificing lives to build new doctors, right? Literally, like massively reducing the survival rates of people in order to teach, right?
Press X to doubt. This man does not even understand the TV shows that he watches. Do you understand that he watched a TV show about ERs and thought that they were actually sacrificing lives in the ER to make better doctors? This man, again, I said at the beginning of this broadcast, he watched a movie called, was it Warfare or something, about a platoon in Iraq, and thought it took place. He said he watched the whole fucking movie. It made such an impact. He made several videos about it and several times said that all he could remember about it and all that was important about it was that it was about American soldiers at war. The war was the war in Iraq, okay? And he said all he remembered was that it took place in a country with a lot of Q's in the name and a lot of A's in the name. And it was a country with a lot of sand. The country was Iraq. A lot of Q's in the name, a lot of A's in the name. There's one Q in the name Iraq. There's one A in the name Iraq. I can understand it throws you off with all those other letters, the letter I and the letter R. This man is not a genius. It would be great if he was a DoorDash employee, delivery person. It would be great if he was an Uber Eats employee, right? Look up his LinkedIn. If his LinkedIn is totally fabricated, his LinkedIn is totally fabricated. If his LinkedIn is not totally fabricated, he doesn't work at DoorDash. He doesn't work at Uber Eats. Right? That would explain so much, but apparently he doesn't. I mean, maybe he does, but if he doesn't, he doesn't. He does apparently have a master's degree at the University of Phoenix. I mean, don't get one of those mail order degrees from the University of Phoenix. They're a fucking joke. I never used to say that, and I didn't used to think that until I realized that they gave a degree, a master's degree, to this fucking genius. No offense. Child of God, child of God, child of goddess, child of the universe. Jesus protect everybody who shares the fucking roadway with this guy.
And so I'm not saying what we have to sacrifice to build a new Matthew Mercer. I'm saying that if you look at the
How about sacrifice nothing to build a dungeon master, right? You know what I mean?
72 window, right? and you see the incredible cost of attempting to even teach a single Dragon Master, the cost on this is going to be incredibly high. Incredibly high. And it's not going to be easy. It is truly not going to be easy to build a new Matthew Mercer. The cost of it is going to be immense culturally and
The cultural cost of building another Matthew Mercer. God, you're fucking sad,
culturally,
bro.
to the D&D community and America itself. Every
To
single
America itself? To America, does America have what it takes to? Do we have what it takes as a country? Do we have what it takes as a country to dig deep, to make the cultural sacrifice necessary to make another Matthew Mercer what we need so much right now, more than ever? Another Matthew Mercer, another fucking adult theater kid, voice actor with painted nails but tan to fucking impress people.
heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion.
Yeah,
in the
whatever,
comments,
dude.
your traffic. Please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium. Hi, friend.
Oh God, Critical Role, lead Matthew Mercer and Dragon Master Ryan Cobbin, where you can find him, in my humble
This is your
opinion.
pal Scott Garibay.
Let's see what
We're
happens
gonna talk
now.
about where is Orion Akaba, and we're going to talk about Free Comic Book Day.
I
right?
think
Okay,
Tech wouldn't have him.
January. So in 2015, Matthew Mercer exiled Orion
I was
Akaba.
raised a poor
from
child.
Critical
God
Role,
bless you. Welcome to the
Vox
live
Machina,
chat.
Mighty Nine, Bell's Hell's Table. It's
I
the
just
second
found
most
this live
important
show. I
event.
see some of the
It's the
people,
first
same
most
people
important
I
event
know.
that
God bless you.
concerns a Dragon Master, right? There's lots of Dungeons and Dragons events. They impact Dungeon Masters. They impact Dragon Masters. Dragon Masters, of course, being Dungeons and Dragons players. Orion Akaba is the most important Dungeons and Dragons player ever crafted. Whoever put pen to paper and created a player character, and he made the most important player character ever, which is Tiberius Stormwind.
You got to keep the tools.
So basically, May 3rd, right? I'm sorry, May 3rd is Free Comic Book Day this year in 2025. So, it had been a long week. I had made a lot of Orion Akaba videos.
As you're wont to do.
Just like every other week, in that precious window of time between when we realized that Orion Akaba had been unjustly removed from the Critical Role Vox Machina.
Unjustly removed for, cheating, being disruptive, ruining the flow of the game, pausing everyone from having a good time, monopolizing time. Oh, and bringing a live flamethrower to the set full of active fluid and a live igniter while high, putting everyone else in mortal danger. That's what immediately preceded him being kicked off the show. FYI, in case you're curious.
Mighty Nine, Bell's Hell Table, and that precious moment that's coming, right? Which is Critical Role Alexandria Season 4, Episode 1, right? And
meanwhile, I will blow everyone in the live chat if Orion Akaba actually shows back up on that show. I win either way. You win either way. Not depending. No one has to collect. You know what I mean? Pass it on.
And when Orion Akaba can return to the Critical Role Alexandria table, where
never. I think Matthew Mercer is pretty solid on this. He will never return to the table, dude.
The seat that he's earned, that honored right-hand seat at Matthew Mercer's right hand, right? And so it's important. Like we're heading toward that moment, right? And so it had been a long week. I'd done 5 to 20 videos, about Orion Akaba, same as any.
5 to 20. It's like 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 5 to 20. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean, when the cop pulls you over. How many beers would you say you had tonight? 5, 6, 20. Step out of the car. You don't even be 5 to 20.
The other week in this precious window of time where we have to convince Matthew Mercer to return Orion Akaba to the Critical Role table so that millions of American male lives can be saved, right?
Millions of American lives. So this was great. I forget who it was in our live chat who figured out that the number that J.Scott Garibay was giving us for the number of American male lives lost to deaths of despair, like he was giving 3 to 4 million was the actual number of actual deaths total in America So it's like, thank you, brother.
So we're pressing toward that, toward our primary quest on the realm that is Earth, right? And
Pressing towards disappointment.
so my Earth realm quest of getting Orion Akaba back to the table, I've been pushing hard on it that week, and honestly, I needed a break, and I'm like, whoo, I'm gonna be able to go. I'm gonna be able to. Today, I'm gonna be able to take an Orion Akaba break. I need an Orion Akaba break. Orion Akaba's in my
You need a Ryan Cobb break.
brain. Been thinking a lot about just unpacking everything that I accomplished at the Critical Role table.
Everything that you had accomplished at the Critical Role table. What did you accomplish at the Critical Role table? Nothing. Do you think making these videos means that you accomplished something? I love you, man, but come on, bro. Need heat? You need a clue, bro.
Trying to understand the messages that he had left.
Trying to understand the messages they left? Bro, you're like David Berkowitz talking to the dog, man. I love you, man, but come on, bro.
At the teaching table. But I was like, I need 5 minutes where my brain is not thinking about Orion Akaba. And I'm like,
you need 5 minutes where your brain is not thinking about Orion Akaba. That's such a fucking true statement, bro. You just like girlfriend just told on herself, right? You need 5 minutes where you're not thinking about Orion Akaba. Holy shit.
Be awesome for that. Free comic books. That is going to be awesome. That will do the job, right? I go to comic shop. I can stand there with, comic book newbies. I can stand there with comic book veterans, and I could get 5 to 20 comics for free, for nothing, right? Normally I have to pay $5 a comic, but today every comic's free.
Is that how much they cost today? The comics, I remember when I used to buy comics when they cost like 75 cents. I think $5. It's too much, bro.
That's going to be awesome, right? So I can give my brain a rest. I can just think about comic books, right? So I go into my comic shop. They have a fantastic array of free comics. I pick up my free comics, but it's a comic shop. I got a little bit of cheddar. I'm like, when I spread the love, I'll they got some sales over here. Well, I'm going to take a tour of the shop, right? So I go over and I look at the new comic rack, right? And I'm like, well, I only spent 2 seconds because I'm like, well, I already saw that on Wednesday. It hasn't changed. I don't need to spend more time here. Then I go over the larger section of comic books that are either 2 weeks old to 2 months old, right? Recent comics, big section, right? Go through there, take a look, no sales, so I keep moving. Then I end up in the Warhammer section, right? Tens of, probably easily.
Now this is gonna be interesting. I think the Warhammer section,
easily $250,000 worth of product on the shelf.
$250,000 worth of product. That's a lot of product. Now we all know this. Like J.Scott Garibay is not a great estimator of values, things, amounts. You know what I mean? Like when he says like 3 to 4 million deaths of American male deaths of despair, and it turns out that there's 3 to 4 million deaths in total in the United States of America, right? Like he's not a great. So $250,000 worth of product in this game store of Warhammer, because you know what I mean? Like you'd knock over that store, right? You know what I mean? That's a lot of product. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. But what do I know? Maybe I know that Warhammer's kind of expensive, but on that point,
right? Easily, right? I go through there. I'm like, I don't really have anybody I'm playing. I got my Tau army, I got my Necron army, I got my Space Marine army. They're pretty sad. I don't really need it.
He's got his Tau army, he's got his Necron army, he's got his Space Marine army. Now check this out. Okay, now this is where I paused, and I'll tell you why. Hold on. If we know anything about J.Scott Garibay, right? If we know anything about J.Scott Garibay, we know that this dude is always talking about Lego, right? He does these. He wrote a book. Yeah, he did. He wrote a book about it's Native Americans in space. He wrote 2 books actually. He's always talking about Legos, and in fact, he's always saying things like that Legos are now officially the official miniatures of Dungeons and Dragons. This is all this crazy stuff. I have never heard him. I've heard him mention Warhammer 40K in the sense that he's mentioned that his local comic shop has Warhammer stuff, right? But I have never heard this dude mention playing Warhammer 40K. And we know that when he does shorts, he's got Lego shorts to beat the band. He's got tons and tons and tons of Lego coverage all over the place. Now he's trying to tell us that he's got a Necron army, he's got a Tau army, and he's got a Space Marine army. I've been watching this guy for a long ass time. And I go back and I watch his vintage videos too. This dude has never mentioned Codex 1. This dude has never shown a Space Marine. He's never done a painting video. He's never showed a Necron miniature. He's never shown any Warhammer miniatures at all. And we know that these Warhammer miniatures are expensive. So you're telling me that he's been showing me he's been showing all these Legos. He's been showing all these things. And we know about he's all into like the notion that all of these Lego miniatures, because they interconnect, they all interconnect to Dungeons and Dragons. You're telling me that he hasn't picked up on the Space Marines being involved in Magic the Gathering, and that hasn't connected to Space Marines and the Necrons are connected, that he's never mentioned that shit connecting in? Get the fuck out, J.Scott Garibay. You do not have any fucking Warhammer armies. Get the fuck out. I am calling bullshit. I am calling straight up bullshit. I can straight up tell you I've never played Warhammer 40K. I'm not that wealthy. I can tell you I'm into Warhammer 40K as far as the lore and the fluff is concerned. I am a huge Black Library fan, meaning I like the books, I read the books, and I'm all about the lore. But buying the miniatures and painting that shit, I knew from day one, I was like, fuck no, fuck no, fuck no. I toyed around with the idea of building an army out of what you call like mega constructs, like Halo guys, being like, I'll like do like a proxy army out of like mega constructs, like Halo guys, because there's no way I'm getting involved in that shit. I've got like the Warhammer 3rd edition like rule book from like 2008, because I'm like mad into the stuff. But as far as J.Scott Garibay is concerned, he's all of a sudden going to come out and just act like he's got 3 armies when he's never mentioned this shit before. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here, homie. I am calling straight. Are you questioning his street cred? I ain't questioning his street cred. This dude is from the funky side of East Side Philly, South Philly. I ain't messing with the Philly, bro. I'm not looking to get cut, right? But am I questioning his nerd cred? Am I questioning his Warhammer 40K cred? Fuck yeah. In the name of the Golden Emperor, I shout heresy. I shout heresy. That dude be foul. That shit's foul, man. There's no way. There's no way this dude has got 3 fucking armies, bro. This guy's got 3 armies and has never mentioned them once. Bull fucking shit.
So I keep moving, right? Then I get to the tabletop role playing game section, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I looked at that on Wednesday. There's nothing new there. I keep moving, right? So then I get to the graphic novel section. Kind of just, making my way through. And I'm like, oh, 5 Ghosts. That looks pretty. Oh, wait, what? Right? And I look up right there. Critical Role, Vox Machina, Origins. Nice, pristine graphic novel. And what's on the cover? Tiberius Stormwind.
Okay. I did the research. You can go to the Critical Role wiki and you will notice that graphic novels, they are the Critical Role Origins, Vox Machina Origins. There's like the last one with Tiberius Stormwind. The Tiberius Stormwind appears in like 5 issues. I looked at them. He's only on like three covers. And the last one that he was on was printed in like 2019. I shit you not. Just calling out there. So whatever this dude is about to say, it's not a new issue. It was like an old issue. So whatever, bro.
And who's standing next to that graphic novel? Orion Akaba.
Who's standing next to that original issue? Ron Akaba. So the dude is seeing people places, because there's no way that there was like a cutout or like a standee of Orion Akaba. Is anyone thinking that there was a Critical Role standee of Orion Akaba who was on 27 episodes from back in the day at this comic store? Fuck no. This dude is straight up seeing things.
Why is he there? Because Critical Role put him there. Everywhere that Critical Role has distributed Orion Akaba's original art,
it's not his original art. You can look at the artist credits for those issues. He didn't draw those things. He didn't paint those issues.
labor, original character, they place Orion Akaba there, laboring for them to build their wealth. They have distributed his material in audio, in video, and in print for a decade, while simultaneously they assure you he has no seat at the table. But Orion Akaba is the hardest working Critical Role original or Critical Role co-creator. He is a creator of the most powerful.
You know, being that he's not involved, hasn't been there for nearly a decade. He's the hardest worker because he hasn't been there for over a decade. Makes sense. He's the hardest worker because he's not there on the episodes. Meanwhile, if it sounds like I'm championing Critical Role, it's an accident because I do not give a shit about Critical Role.
Powerful Dungeons & Dragons narrative ever. He labors every single day to make every.
No, he doesn't. Literally, he doesn't, because he's not there. He's not doing anything. He is not doing anything, bro. This is all happening in your mind.
Every single original Critical Role, every single original Critical Role co-creator, bought himself a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
His work is everywhere. Where is Orion Akaba?
Where's his work? His work is everywhere. How do you figure, dude?
Everywhere, because that's where Matthew Mercer put him.
Uh-huh.
Right? That book was printed, reprinted, and reprinted for a decade to be on that shelf at that time.
First of all, maybe not even. It could have been an old issue just hanging out there, not sold, because everybody knows nothing moves like Critical Role.
Orion Akaba is everywhere Dungeons & Dragons is. Okay?
It's everywhere than Dungeons & Dragons is. Is that the case? Is that really the case? Okay.
And it's unfair, and he needs to be returned to the Critical Role physical table with his physical self. It is only just every.
Yeah, well, you know what? Life isn't fair.
Single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like and subscribing and have a fetch millennium.
Okay, well, we will.
Hi, friends. Your pal Scott Garibay. And,
the couch scribbler. We don't even care. This is the last one.
Okay. And I want to ask.
I'll look at the live chat one more time, and then we'll do the couch scribbler, and then we'll be done. There you go. To be honest, I've been playing TTRPG since '85. Never used minis. Usually, Theater of the Mind. Hell, I just started collecting them in the past 5 years. Oh, hey, I was raised a poor art child. I may have accidentally hit one of your comments. I don't know how, but it was. At least you admit it. It happens. It happens. I love minis, but mostly don't get to use them. Gamer since '77. Okay, welcome. What's funny, and I apologize, I'm not accustomed to strong drink. There you go. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Never mind while drinking. There you go. Tim, it's fine. I'm a mod on Diversity and Dragon Stream. I've done that by accident. Next show is Wednesday, and about Garibay in part. Y'all come check it out. We definitely will. We are totally on opposite ends of the political spectrum. I was raised by a poor art child. Check this out, dude. You may... I was trolling, no shit trolling in the last RPG Pundit live stream with Roll Stats, who I duck. I like Roll Stats. And you might remember me or not from RPG Pundit and me had a quote unquote debate like fucking years ago, I think at this point, maybe going on years ago. I sent DD the link for this stream. I'm sure I could give this channel a shout out. There you go. There you go. Totally opposite ends of the political stream. I've given Diversity and Dragons hell on different occasions, but it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. I'm a fuck around, knock around kind of guy. You know what I mean? I'm a liberal, progressive guy, but I believe in fucking around. I'm a mod for Sci-Fi from ETV and the admin for its Discord, as well as Nerd Cognitos. There you go. There you go. Here we go. Back to it.
Question: has there ever been a single depiction of a couch scribbler on the big screen or the small screen that was positive?
Dr. Katz. Remember Dr. Katz? Also, Alan Thicke on, what was it, Growing Pains? Was it Growing Pains? Wasn't Alan Thicke on Growing Pains? Wasn't he a psychiatrist? Right? I think so.
That positively depicted a couch scribbler and showed a couch scribbler.
What about Dr. Malfi on The Sopranos? Right? What about Analyze This or Analyze That? Right? Billy Crystal on Analyze This, Analyze That. Ayo, somewhere, somehow, right? What about High Anxiety? Mel Brooks, high anxiety, right? Love that big red machine, right?
Actually,
Tons of them, right?
Or even presented an ethical couch scribbler.
Everything I just said, right? Everything I just said. Even Law and Order: Criminal Intent, like the guy Juno's dad, wasn't he like, he was pretty good? He was pretty good.
And I'm really fascinated by this, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so I just finished watching The Pit. Okay, now The Pit is a brilliant show. It is a 15 episode show starring Noah Wyle. He is phenomenal. This is by far his best role in anything I've ever seen him in. It's a tour de force. It is his magnum opus without exception. He is phenomenal in this, and he plays an ER doctor in Pittsburgh, right? So this is not a genre show. This isn't science fiction. This isn't fantasy. This is a contemporary fiction show that shows us the life of an ER doctor and shows us how difficult.
Amen.
So it is
Amen.
Start to finish.
Amen. Death Angel Shadow.
This
Amen.
is the best non-genre show I've watched in 2025 without exception. It is absolutely phenomenal. I was going to say maybe White Lotus. This is better, far better than White Lotus. White Lotus was good. I really enjoyed White Lotus, but this was bad. Okay?
He was removed as an elder in his church
really,
for some reason. So
just absolutely shocked, right? Like, just like, wow, that's pretty amazing, right? And what really blew me away about the show was that in 15 episodes, they showed doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor helping people. Like, people would come in with a problem and they would genuinely help them. They would send them away better. They would send them away fixed, right? And there was no question that these doctors had genuinely helped them, right? And they had done it in an ethical way. They had strived to ethically help people, right? And it was a fantastic show. And I mean, and I'd never seen a better depiction of a single profession, right? If you watch The Pit, you come out of that saying doctors are good people.
The show about ER doctors, you know what I mean? Fixing broken bones. You come in with a bullet wound. I'm bleeding out of this bullet wound. Here, let's suture this bullet wound. Let's remove this bullet and suture this bullet wound. My eye! I got stabbed in the eye. I'm gonna be blind. Well, not necessarily. If we go in, and it's gonna be difficult, but calm down. And oh my god, he fixed the eye. Oh my god, what is it? It's a compound fracture of the ocular bone and the thing in the ding dong. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? It's a frisbee in his anus. Could be complicated removal, but we could do this. It's a question of moving the transverse angle of the frisbee at the obtuse angle of the bunghole, and bing! My God, doctor, how'd you do it? You helped me. It's a simple matter of removing the frisbee from the anus. It's an ER with people with physical difficulties. You know, guess where he's going with this? He doesn't understand why he hasn't seen a show about a psychiatrist or a psychoanalyst fixing a person like, my bone is my my arm is broken. Oh, you fixed my broken arm, doc. I'm anxious, you know what I mean? I have all these confusing thoughts. Oh, all of a sudden I'm better. Oh, that's amazing. You fixed me. Ethically.
Who ethically help people and are capable of making people better. It's not a question. You literally see it 3 times per episode. And there's 15 episodes. There's no less than like 45 clear depictions of good people with ethics helping people who are
With ethics.
genuinely have problems. And when they leave the
Genuinely have problems. Yeah, their bones are broken. They've got bullet wounds. Their eye is halfway out of their head. That's a problem. Fix it. Yeah.
of the doctor, they are fully fixed. They are fixed.
Fixed. Totally fixed. Not a problem.
Right? I've never seen anything like it, right? But when I looked at
You've never seen anything like it? You fucking douchebag. This guy's 55 years old. You've never seen a show with an ER where people walked in. You've never seen, like, I don't know, Quincy Jones, MD, ER, St. Elsewhere. You know what I mean? Fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Scrubs. You know what I mean? Fucking idiot.
I was like, wait a second. In that show, they're like, hey, you're a person, and we think we need to send you to a couch scribbler, right? And the other person's like, I really would like to not go to a couch scribbler because I don't know if I believe that a couch scribbler could help me. Also,
Yeah, you've never seen on the show. It's amazing. I've never seen the show about an ER where someone walked in and someone was like, "Oh, you're coming into the ER. We're gonna send you to a psychiatrist or a psychoanalyst." Yeah, why would they do that? Because they're in an ER. It's a show about an ER.
Also, I'm not sure the couch scribblers are good people. Also, I'm not sure that couch scribblers are ethical in any way, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. So this show has shown clearly that doctors can be good people, doctors can be ethical, and doctors can legitimately, unquestionably, verifiably help, right?
It has shown that. Okay. That doesn't mean also that doctors can be unethical, because there's other shows where, you know, doctors do unethical things, right? But whatever, dude.
But then the show also, and then I walked away and I was like, wait a second. This is a Hollywood product. This is the Hollywood community saying, we believe that that doctors are good people. A doctor can be a good person, an ethical person, a good ethical person.
What the fuck are you talking about? It's a show about ERs where doctors cure people that come into an ER, and that means that's Hollywood saying that Hollywood believes that doctors are ethical, good people that help people. Okay, bro.
Verifiably helps another person with a problem and fixes that problem, right? But then I was like, wait a second. If this show contains 45 depictions of good ethical people who are doctors helping people with verifiable problems and sending them away with verifiable fixes, have I ever seen that once from any Hollywood product from the Hollywood community depicting a couch scribbler ever helping a person ever? And immediately in my mind, I was like, no, I've never seen that.
Well, that's you not going to things. What was that movie? There was that movie with Barbara Streisand and Nick Nolte where Nick Nolte goes to her and she helps him with his problems, like fixing those, like, it was a big movie. Like, he had like those suppressed memories of like his childhood abuse. It was like Barbara Streisand, Nick Nolte. Hold on. Barbara Streisand. She like won some sort of award. And Nick Nolte. The Prince of Tides. Prince of Tides is a 1991 American romantic drama film directed and co-produced by Barbara Streisand from a screenplay written by Pat Conroy and Becky Johnson based on Conroy's 1986 novel. It stars Streisand and Nick Nolte and tells the story of a narrator's struggle to overcome the psychological damage inflicted by his dysfunctional childhood in South Carolina. Tim Wingo, a teacher and football coach from South Carolina, is asked by his mother, Leela, to travel to New York City to help his twin sister, Savannah's psychiatrist, Susan Lowenstein, after Savannah's latest suicide attempt. Tom hates New York, but reluctantly accepts, largely take the opportunity to be alone and away from a life that does not satisfy him. During his initial meetings with Lowenstein, Tom is reluctant to disclose many details of their dysfunctional family secrets. In flashbacks, he relates incidents from his childhood to Lowenstein and helps with discovering how to save Savannah's life. The Wingo parents were an abusive father and a manipulative, status-hungry mother. The father was a shrimp boat operator. By being successful, spent his money on frivolous business pursuits, leaving the family in poverty. Da-da-da-da. Tom and Lonesome could have feelings for each other. Anyway, regardless, you know what I mean? Dissociated state. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's Prince of Tides. You know what I'm saying? Prince of Tides. And there's other things. Again, Dr. Katz.
Couch grubbers depicted no less than 100 times by the Hollywood community, and not once have I ever seen them paint a couch grubber as a good, ethical person.
How about this? Why don't I just do this? Hollywood depictions of psychiatrists. These are the results of Hollywood depictions of psychiatrists. Oh my god. Positive psychiatry portrayals a rarity in Hollywood. This ad will close in 22 seconds. 15, 14. And the ad is like nothing, by the way. Okay. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, okay. Hey, your mother. Okay. Christine Lehman. Now reading. Okay, whatever, dude. There we go. Share the stat instead. Okay. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Okay, well, let's see what the hell's going on here. So we got me over here. But why am I not full screen? What if I do stop sharing the screen? Cancel. Screen sharing is canceled. Okay, here we go. Do this. So can you see me over here in this little corner? If I do solo layout. Ah, we don't know what happened, but can you see me? Can you see and hear me now? Yeah, now I'm in a circle. Okay, there you go. So do not F with a psychiatrist. So where was the? So there you go. What was the one with the Prince of What was the one with Robin Williams? Was a pretty good movie, but a shitty book. Later on, kids would eat Tide Pods. Lowenstein. I'm glad my stepson must have been Good Will Hunting I was thinking of. Okay. So what was the last thing everyone heard? Because then we'll figure out what exactly. I wonder what it was. I wonder what it was. Well, whatever it was, it killed the vibe. J.Scott Garibay doesn't like the psychiatric profession. We've established that. My phone is totally upstairs with the ex-old lady. I don't know. I made the day. So I normally at this point in the proceedings would pull a tarot card, but I have no tarot cards to pull. So I will leave you with this. I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. And that somebody is not a member of the licensed mental health community. 5/5/25. Keep yourself aware and alive. J.Scott Garibay is out there and shall thrive. And tomorrow, no doubt, we'll upload many more hours on which we may choose to dine. Thank you for coming out and joining in the live stream. We saw many new faces join us today. Hope you enjoyed. We certainly enjoyed having you with us, whether you be on this side of the political aisle or that side of the political aisle. Check it out. I was on DM Bloodworth's channel, chewing the fat, wrapping it up, having some fun. What was it? Thursday night, I think it was. What we do here is, I'm the kind of guy. I don't care if you're on the left or you're on the right. It's all right. Just as long as you're not too uptight. See what I'm saying? And as long as you remember that, it's easy to say, the people on the left are like this, the people on the right are like this. But when we meet each other in the live chat, in the this and that, at the table, in the spaces and the faces, we're meeting people. People are not things. People are not categories. People are people that just, you know what I mean? Categories are generalities that we use as shorthand. And oftentimes, those shorthands are used by other people to use us, move us around like cattle and fish. Don't be a cattle. Don't be a fish. Be a real live human being. Thinking of yourself, making your own damn decisions. There you go. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Be good till then.